Chapter 13:12. Chapter 13:10. Sadness. Su Shirhan didn't wear much this time, probably because she came straight to Lin Yi's place and didn't go anywhere else, so she didn't need to wear anything. Han, you're so pretty today. Xiao Xiao was quite familiar with Su Shirhan by now. You're pretty too. Su Shirhan smiled. Don't just stand there, come in. The group welcomed Su Shirhan in, and Xiao Xiao introduced Yushu, Tang Yun, and Meng Yao to Su Shirhan. They're all my good friends, like bosom friends. Of course, Xiao Xiao didn't tell them that Tang Yun was Lin Yi's boyfriend. There was no need to tell an outsider about this sort of thing. For now, Tang Yun's identity was just Lin Yi's good friend. Otherwise, it'd be too complicated. Lin Yi nodded to Su Shirhan and took out a bag of painkillers. Here, this should last you a while. I just got here and you're giving it to me? You're not kicking me out, are you? Su Shirhan took the medicine and joked. I'm just afraid I'll forget. Lin Yi said faintly. There's takeaway food in the kitchen. Go eat if you're hungry. If there's nothing else, you guys have fun. I'm going back to my room. Lin Yi didn't want to join the fun with Su Shirhan. With a celebrity girl, Lin Yi couldn't think of anything to do with her. Xiao Xiao and the others could ask about Su Shirhan's privacy, but Lin Yi wasn't interested at all. In Lin Yi's eyes, Su Shirhan was no different from a stranger. Who would be interested in a stranger's privacy? Su Shirhan looked at Lin Yi's nonchalant face and couldn't help but roll her eyes. She didn't feel like a celebrity at all here. But it was precisely because of this that Su Shirhan didn't have her usual nervousness and vigilance. It was like she was home, she could relax. As for Meng Yao, Tang Yun, and Yushu's questions, Su Shirhan basically answered all of them. After all, Su Shirhan didn't have anything to hide. Other than a headache, it wasn't a big deal. Xiao Han, do you have a boyfriend? Missy also became a little gossipy. After all, these are the things that the fans were most concerned about. Su Shirhan's boyfriend, on the other hand, was the focus of the media. Some fans had tried to match him up, but it was proven that it was just a misunderstanding. Su Shirhan had always been single, but even if she was single, a lot of fans didn't believe it. They all thought that there was an invisible boyfriend behind Su Shirhan. It was just that no one noticed. Not yet. Hee, I'm really not lying. I'm not lying. Shirhan smiled. She knew that they would ask these questions. So you're still a virgin? Yushu's questions were always powerful. Yes. Su Shirhan blushed and sighed. Lin Yi's friends were really not ordinary people. Oh, so you really are a pure and innocent girl. Yushu liked Su Shirhan even more. Lin Yi listened to the girl's gossipy questions. He couldn't help but shake his head and went back to his room. At night, other than the seafood that Lin Yi brought back from the restaurant, Lin Yi cooked a few more dishes. Although a bunch of seafood was enough, Su Shirhan was still a guest. Lin Yi didn't want the Missy and the others to lose face. Su Shirhan ate the dishes Lin Yi cooked. She was amazed. She never thought that Lin Yi could cook, and it was so delicious. He was even more professional than her housekeeper. Your cooking is really good. It seems like your friend is lucky. Su Shirhan praised. Han, if you like it, come here more often. You're always welcome here. Meng Yao was the owner of the villa. It was a good time to speak. I wanted to Yao Yao, but I won't be staying in Sanshan for long. I'll be leaving soon. Shirhan said regretfully. But if I'm free, I'll come and play with you guys. It's fun to be with you guys. There's no pressure. That's great. You'll come more often. Yushu said happily. Man, yeah, you have to come or else I'll die. Xiao Xiao said pitifully. Don't say that. Your boyfriend's medical skills are so good. He'll definitely find a way. Shirhan said. I hope so. Xiao Xiao sighed. All right, let's not talk about this. Let's eat. Lin Yi didn't want to continue on this topic. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. He didn't have a good solution, either. He could only take it one step at a time. After dinner, under Yushu's suggestion, the group started singing karaoke. The Miss House's sound system wasn't inferior to a KTV, and the house was decorated with the highest quality appliances. Su Shirhan adjusted the sound and was very satisfied with it. At first, Su Shirhan sang for everyone, but later on, everyone took turns to sing. What surprised Su Shirhan was that everyone's voice was pretty good, not inferior to her own. With a little training, they would have the potential to become stars. Lenny sat on the sofa and listened to the girls singing. It was a very warm feeling. This kind of comfortable life was something he didn't dare to imagine before. If he thought about this day, Lenny wouldn't have rejected Ning, which caused he to brood over it until now. But he missed it. Some things couldn't go back to the past. Plus, the relationship between he and House Yu was very tense. Were the hidden House Yu and House Yu on the same side? But no matter what, Lenny knew that it was impossible for him to marry Ning right now. The requirements to enter the hidden House Yu were very high, and they had high hopes for Ning. They raised her as a member of House Yu. How could normal people enter House Yu's eyes? He was only a golden class, and now he was only a mystic. House Yu, on the other hand, had a sky class. This was also the reason why he felt inferior. Not only could he not give Ning a stable life, but he also couldn't fight against House Yu. Thinking about the past, he couldn't help but sigh. But thinking about the life he had now, with Tang Yun by his side and Xiao Xiao as a happy person, he didn't regret it. No matter what happened, Tang Yun wouldn't leave him. This was the person who would accompany him for life. A sad song pulled he back from his thoughts. It was a classic song, and Xiao Xiao was slowly singing it out of her mouth. Chapter 13:13. Don't cry, my most loved one. He raised his head and looked at Xiao Xiao. The atmosphere in the living room quietened down as well. Everyone's emotions were affected by Xiao Xiao. Don't cry, my most loved one. Tonight, I'm like a flower blooming, falling in the most beautiful moment. Your tears can't bring me back. Don't cry, my most loved one. I'll never wake up. Blinking in the most beautiful night. My eyes are the brightest stars. Do you remember when I said proudly, I've been to this world before? Don't tell me what eternity is. I'll die in the most beautiful moment. This song was called Don't Cry, My Most Loved One, and the lyrics were very similar to Xiao Xiao's current situation. This was Xiao Xiao's favorite song, but she rarely sang it in front of people. Now, everyone in the room was her friends, and they all knew about her body's condition. This song was actually for them all. Do you remember when I said proudly, I've been to this world before? Don't tell me what maturity is. I'll die in the moment it starts. Everyone was affected by Xiao Xiao's emotions and started humming along. Xiao Xiao's face was full of smiles, but her tears couldn't help but flow down her cheeks. She knew that she was definitely going to die this time. He kept telling her that he'd think of something, but it wasn't that easy to think of something. If there really was a way, her mother wouldn't have died. These days, Xiao Xiao didn't show it, but it was obvious that her body wasn't as good as before. Every night, she'd be woken up by a chill, but it was summer right now. Xiao Xiao knew that it was the cold energy in her body being released during her sleep, and so she knew that she didn't have much time left. It should be in the next few days. Today, Xiao Xiao was using this song as her last words to tell everyone she loved. The people in this room were all people she cared about, including Shirhan, who she'd just met. They'd only known each other for a short while, but it felt like they'd known each other for a long time. The Miss, Tang Yun, and Shu's eyes were all wet. Shirhan's eyes were red as well. If someone else were to sing this song, it wouldn't be a big deal, but Xiao Xiao was singing it, and everyone could understand the meaning behind it. Although Lenny did not cry, his heart was still very heavy. He wondered if there was any news from the old man. Who was that medical sage? Would he be able to find his medical notes? After the song, Xiao Xiao wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and smiled at everyone. What's wrong with you guys? Why does it seem so dull? Is it because I don't sing well? How many points can I get? Haha, you sang very well. Tang Yun forced a smile and said. Meng Yao and Yushu laughed and clapped as well, while Shirhan stood up. I was too engrossed in it, didn't I? I think it's even better than me. Haha, really? Looks like I could be a singer too. Xiao Xiao said happily. Su Shirhan stayed there until late into the night. Only after Wang Jia called her did she reluctantly leave. The next concert would be held in the city tomorrow. It was time to prepare for the next concert. With the painkiller from Shirhan didn't have to worry about anything happening, especially since the painkiller was in the form of medicine. Shirhan could put it in a bottle and drink it when she had a headache, as if she was drinking water and no one would notice. House Kong was in a mess. A piece of news hit them like a bolt from the blue, making Kong Guifeng and Xiaolong's eyes go wide as they stared at the storehouse, full of Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine. Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine changed its packaging. The market had all changed to the new packaging with Shirhan's picture, and the old version was almost extinct. But there were still mountains of it in House Kang's storehouse. That old bastard. Why did he change the packaging for no reason? Isn't this a scam? Kong Guifeng didn't know what to do as he looked at the storehouse full of medicine. Xiaolong thought to himself, "You're right, they're scamming your dad, scamming my grandpa. The most important thing right now is to sell the goods at a low price, even if it's 10 points lower than the market price. We can still sell it when the market is changing its packaging. If we wait any longer, it'll all be gone." Xiaolong sighed. "That's the only way. Should we tell your grandpa about this?" Kong Guifeng asked. "Let's tell him we can't hide it anyway." But this mistake has given Kong Ming more credit. One wrong step, all the wrong steps. I made a mistake back then, and it caused such a huge loss. Xiaolong smiled bitterly. Dr. Kong was listening to a storyteller at home when he heard Kong Guifeng's report. He almost fainted from anger. What? They'd already lost 5 points to sell the goods, and now they had to lose 10 points? How much money would that be wasted? Plus, it wasn't just a problem of losing money. If they couldn't sell enough, they'd lose all the medicine they had. You two useless bastards. Dr. Kong was shaking with anger as he pointed at Kong Guifeng and Xiaolong. Look at what you've done. If you'd listened to Xiaoming earlier, you wouldn't have ended up like this. House Kong was ruined by you. That, Kong Guifeng wanted to say that although they came up with the idea, you were still the one who made the final decision. You agreed with our point of view too. If you'd agreed with Kong Ming's point of view, this wouldn't have happened, right? But he couldn't say that out loud. If he did, it would make Dr. Kong even angrier. Kong Guifeng could only lower his head and endure the abuse from Dr. Kong. Go get Xiaoming, you bastards. Dr. Kong was a very vulgar person, cursing whenever he was angry. Fuck your grandma, you little bastards. Kong Guifeng and Kong Ming were speechless. Kong Guifeng thought, fuck my grandma? Isn't that your mom? If we're little bastards, then aren't you an old bastard? Chapter 13-14. Unlucky Dr. Kong Xiaolong was a scheming man, and as much as he didn't want to admit defeat, he knew that he'd lose more points in a situation where he was at a disadvantage. After a few fruitless attempts at shirking responsibility, Xiaolong began to adjust his situation. Temporary tolerance was for the sake of becoming stronger and more powerful in the future. Kong Ming called it a search for the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, but he was actually going out to have fun and pick up girls. The recipe wasn't that easy to find, after all. He didn't have any leads on it yet, so he used this as an excuse to have some fun. When he got the call from Xiaolong saying that something big had happened at home, Kong Ming didn't dare tarry and rushed back from the dinner table. He didn't get along with Xiaolong, but he still had to rush back to House Kong. Kong Ming was a spoiled brat, but he wasn't an idiot. If House Kong were to be destroyed, how could he, Kong Ming, live a good life? But when Kong Ming got back to House Kong and found out what had happened, he let out a sigh of relief. He'd thought that it was something big and that they'd lost some money, but it wasn't a devastating blow to House Kong. Plus, Kong Ming was secretly happy. This was all Xiaolong's doing, and now he'd disappointed his grandpa more and more. The future head of House Kong was going to be him, Kong Ming. Kong Ming could even imagine the amazing life he'd been living. After becoming the head of House Kong, he'd had women on his left and right, eating, drinking, and having fun. No one could control him, but he could control others. It was the life of an immortal. But on the surface, Kong Ming still spoke with pain. This is a big deal, but what's done is done, and now's not the time to look into it. Uncle and brother didn't do it on purpose, and they didn't want this to happen. Fortunately, we only lost some money, and there were no other big problems. Otherwise, our Kong family would not be able to bear the torment. Although Kong Ming said that he wouldn't pursue the matter, it was obvious that he was blaming Kong Guifeng and Kong Xiaolong for this. Xiaoming, House Kong will accept the loss, but now that Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine is selling so well, it's severely affected the sales of our Dr. Kang's golden creation. Those pharmacies that used to beg us to supply them all seem to have disappeared, and they don't even ask for our medicine anymore. Dr. Kong smiled bitterly. I'm afraid that the medical market will soon belong to Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine. Fortunately, they still had the support of the military orders, but how long could they last? I'm afraid that Guan Shuimin will snatch this order away from us. If that happens, the Kong family will be facing a life-and-death crisis. Dr. Kang's words were serious, but if House Kong continued to develop like this, it might really become a reality. Zhao Long, Kong Ming, and Kong Guifeng all had worried expressions on their faces. As the saying goes, when the nest is overturned, no eggs remain intact. If House Kong were to collapse, they wouldn't be able to fight for the position of head of the house. So at this moment, the three of them let go of their competitive mentality and lower their heads with a heavy heart. The reason I called you here is to discuss what our Kong family should do. How should we deal with it? House Kang's future isn't looking good. Dr. Kong sighed. What do you think we should do? Kong Guifeng and Zhao Long looked at each other. They didn't have any good ideas. House Kang's foundation was too weak. They only had the formula for golden creation, and they didn't have any other special effects medicine. If this product was replaced by someone else, then House Kong would have no more products to rely on. House Kang's medicine factory also produced common medicines for headaches and colds, but those were all common formulations. There were too many manufacturers, and it wasn't easy to do business. In the past, with Dr. Kang's golden creation's reputation, these medicines could be sold, but now that Dr. Kang's golden creation wasn't doing so well, the sales of these medicines were no different from those of a small medicine factory. They wouldn't starve to death, but it was impossible for House Kong to be as prosperous as it was now. They could only become a normal house, let alone become a noble house. Grandpa, I feel like this is still up to me. I feel that I have a great responsibility. If I can get the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, then everything will be solved. Kong Ming said after some thought. In fact, he didn't know what else to say. That's right. Zhao Ming is right. How about it? Are you confident? Dr. Kong nodded in satisfaction. I've been drinking with friends these past few days, trying to get to know them better. This can't be rushed. We can only wait and see. After all, the formula is a secret, and it'll be hard to get it through normal means. Kong Ming said. That's true. Keep it up. Dr. Kong said. From today onwards, you can use all the resources of House Kong, but you must give it your all to find the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. No problem, I understand. Kong Ming nodded. Kong Ming was overjoyed when he heard this decision. Did this mean that he was starting to exercise his authority as the young head of the house? Haha, he was about to become the young head of the house. Dr. Kang's words made Zhao Long's heart sink. Even though he'd been chosen as the heir by his grandfather, he hadn't given him this many resources. But now, Zhao Long was angry, but he couldn't refute it. His only hope now was that Kong Ming messed this up and couldn't get the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But if he couldn't get the formula, then House Kong would be done for. With House Kang's current situation, if they didn't have a powerful formula, then House Kong would never be able to recover. And so Zhao Long was conflicted. On one hand, he hoped that Kong Ming would fail, but on the other hand, he didn't want him to fail. If Kong Ming failed, then what was the point of becoming the head of House Kong? It was just a small house, there was no sense of achievement at all. But if Kong Ming succeeded, then Kong Ming would be the head of House Kong. How could he let Kong Ming get the formula, but not become the head of House Kong? Zhao Long started thinking in his mind. He had to find a way that would satisfy both sides. Chapter 13:15. Kong Ming may be a spoiled brat, but he wasn't an idiot. Normal people wouldn't know such an important recipe. It was a business secret, even more serious than a top secret. If this recipe were to be leaked, it would shock all the noble houses. Although Kong Xiaoming agreed with full confidence, it was a bit difficult to actually execute the plan. He was very clear about his own capabilities. He used the old method of bribing miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's vice president, Kong Xiaobo, to get the golden creation medicine's formula. But this method wouldn't work on Guan Xiumin. There was no way Guan Xiumin would give the recipe to him. Wouldn't he be an idiot then? So Kong Mingming had to use other methods. But for someone like Xiumin, unless he was willing, there was no way he would just hand over the recipe. If he managed to get Guan Xian, he could order her to steal the recipe. Kong Mingming was confident. From Kong Mingming's point of view, women in love were blind and stupid. Wasn't Xiaofan the same? But Guan Xian was already engaged since she was young, and Kong Mingming had no chance at all. Guan Xian was a girl who was already engaged. It was impossible for her to interact with other men before marriage. This made Kong Mingming feel helpless. He couldn't get his hands on Guan Xian or Guan Xiumin. It was a little worrying. Kong Xiaoming was worried, but he didn't show it. He quietly left House Kong and went to find Zhu Xiaozhong and Wang Shubin to discuss a solution. Zhao Long, on the other hand, watched Kong Mingming's back as he left. He had to do something. Kong Mingming had to succeed in finding the recipe. But how could he let him give up the position of head of the house after he succeeded? This was a difficult problem. Zhao Long fell into deep thought. After finding out the exact location of the arena, Lingshan gathered a large number of police officers and surrounded the arena without anyone noticing. But, as secretive as Lingshan's movements were, the underground arena's defenses were still very tight. Ever since Air Gooden caused a scene in the arena, Jiang Wen was a little scared. If he let someone like that come a few more times, then there'd be no point in opening the arena anymore. They'd all be killed. And so, Jiang Wen had Scorpion's men pretend to be passers-by and set up traps at the main roads of the arena. Naturally, the traps would alert Scorpion the moment the police cars arrived. Young Master One, it's not good. There's a large number of police heading towards the underground arena. Scorpion was shocked when he heard the report from his underlings. What? The police are here? Jiang Wen was shocked. Seriously? How did the police find this place? I don't know. Maybe someone leaked the information. Scorpion was troubled as well. He knew that this day would come, but wasn't a little too fast? His mission was to be the scapegoat for Jiang Wen's crimes. He'd take responsibility for all the crimes that happened in the arena. As for his family, everything had already been arranged, so Scorpion was mentally prepared. It was just that he hadn't had enough yet. But now, even if he didn't want to, he had to stand out. He knew how cruel the firewolves were. If he were to hand Jiang Wen over, then his family would be attacked severely by the firewolves. So, he had to take on all the crimes himself. Of course, in the arena, only Scorpion, the professor, and a dead fighter knew Jiang Wen's identity. No one else had seen Jiang Wen before, and they didn't even know of his existence. Because of this, it was easy for Jiang Wen to get away with it. Scorpion, I'll leave the rest to you. I'll leave with the professor first. Jiang Wen sighed and decided to give up. He'd earned quite a bit of money from the underground arena recently, and it was enough. He had to let go when it was time. Don't worry, Master One. I know what to do. Scorpion gritted his teeth. Master One, you and the professor should escape. But at this time, Xiao Luozi's phone rang again. Xiao Luozi didn't dare to delay and quickly picked it up. But after listening to the caller's words, his face changed. What's wrong? Jiang Wen's face didn't look right. Master One, it's bad. The police have surrounded the arena. I'm afraid you and the professor won't be able to escape. Scorpion said, we can only activate the second plan. Okay, we need to hurry. Jiang Wen nodded and said decisively, while the police haven't barged in, we'll apply for a break in the middle of the fight and substitute the professor and me. Lingshan arranged all the police forces and made sure that the people in the arena couldn't escape. She immediately ordered, Lu Wangli, bring a squad with me to arrest the suspect. Yes, Captain Song. Captain Song. Wangli immediately brought his men and followed behind Lingshan. The door of the casino opened abruptly, and Lingshan brought a group of police officers into the arena. Of course, what Lingshan didn't know was that there were thugs patrolling the arena's entrance. But in order to not arouse Lingshan's suspicions, Scorpion ordered the thugs to leave the place quietly. Otherwise, Lingshan wouldn't have wasted the time to arrange the police force if she'd seen someone guarding the door. She'd have gone straight into the arena and grabbed the thugs at the door, giving Jiang Wen and the professor no time to set up their plans. Don't move, we're the police. Spectators, don't move. Stay in your seats. Don't try to escape or resist. Lingshan rushed in and used the megaphone to speak to the spectators. The spectators jumped when they saw the police rush into the arena. Some of them, naturally, wanted to run away, but after hearing Lingshan's words and seeing the armed police behind her, they immediately gave up on the idea of running away. After all, they were just spectators, here to watch the fight and gamble. This arena had nothing to do with them, so the punishment wouldn't be too severe. They sat down obediently. Chapter 13:16. Officer Song, it's me. You're finally here. Help me out. I don't want to fight. They forced me to fight. The green-masked boxer suddenly shouted. He waved his hands and shouted for help in the ring. Help! Officer Song. This sudden turn of events startled Lingshan. How did this boxer know her? After the green-masked boxer finished, the white-masked boxer opposite him started yelling as well. Ah? Is the police here? That was great. Help me too. I'm regretting it. I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want the money anymore. I want my life. You guys take care of the audience and notify Team 2 to come in. Search for the organizer. I'll go take a look at these two boxers. Lingshan felt that the green-masked boxer's voice was very familiar. All right, Captain Song. Lu Wangli nodded. During the analysis of the case, everyone had come to the same conclusion. The underground arena used illegal methods such as seduction, kidnapping, and other methods to get people to fight, so the two boxers in the ring should be victims as well. They weren't dangerous, and Lu Wangli wasn't worried about Lingshan getting into trouble alone. Plus, Lingshan was a golden-class late-phase peak. There was nothing to be afraid of. Lingshan walked up and looked at the two boxers in the ring. May I ask who you are? Why are you fighting here? Officer Song, it's me. The green-masked boxer pulled off his mask, revealing his face. It was Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen's face was on the verge of tears. I'm Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen, why are you here? Why did you come here? Lingshan, naturally, was familiar with Jiang Wen. He was one of the victims of the kidney trafficking company. But why was he here? How could he be so miserable? I went to the hospital to get my kidneys checked, and someone told me that he knew a folk doctor who could cure my kidneys and restore my manhood. So I came. Jiang Wen said with a pained face. Only when I got here did I realize that I'd been tricked. They gave me a stimulant shot and told me to fight on the stage, telling me that if I didn't want to die, I'd be beaten to death. Fuck, I was scared to death. Lingshan looked at Jiang Wen sympathetic. Why was this guy so unlucky? How could he be arrested for looking at a kidney? Lingshan's face darkened when he said things like weak kidneys and masculinity. Okay, it's fine now. Come with me to the police station to make a statement. Lingshan, on the other hand, didn't doubt Jiang Wen's words. After all, Jiang Wen was a fighter, and he stood in the ring. From what she knew, a young master like Jiang Wen wouldn't fight in the ring no matter how much money was offered. It was a joke with his life. Me, officer, I was tricked here. A blonde told me that he'd give me 200,000 if I did some bodybuilding, but I didn't expect it to be a fighter. I'm not fighting anymore. I'll lose my life if I keep fighting. The person speaking was the white-masked man, who was actually the professor. He and Jiang Wen went on the stage to replace the two fighters, and since the police had rushed into the arena, the audience didn't realize that the fighters had been replaced. Of course, they weren't paying attention to it. They couldn't even protect themselves, so how could they have the time to study the people on the stage? Plus, the people on the stage were all wearing masks, and they were so far away. No one could tell if the fighters had been replaced or not. Jiang Wen and the professor made use of this to put on a good show of escaping on the stage like a cicada slipping out of its shell. Okay, you'll come with me to the police station to make a statement. Lingshan nodded. Jiang Wen and the professor sighed in relief after hearing Lingshan's words, but it wasn't Lingshan's fault. In the entire arena, other than the dead fighter Li, only Scorpion knew about Jiang Wen and the professor's identities. Scorpion, however, wouldn't tell anyone about it. At this moment, Scorpion was brought out without any resistance. His face was very calm, as this moment would come sooner or later. The underground arena was completely destroyed in one night. In the interrogation room, little Scorpion didn't resist at all. He confessed all the crimes he committed. As for the whereabouts of the underground arena's funds, little Scorpion revealed an international gang. This gang was the Fire Wolf Gang's enemy, so little Scorpion didn't mind using this opportunity to create some trouble for them. Of course, the Fire Wolves had already taken care of the details, and they couldn't find any problems with the bank accounts. For a large criminal organization like the Fire Wolf Gang, it was easy to create this kind of fake evidence. It was not difficult at all. So, even if Ling Shan and the others did a thorough investigation, they wouldn't be able to link it to Jiang Wen, the professor, or even the Fire Wolves. The destruction of the underground boxing arena had no effect on most people. Only those who had gambled in the underground boxing arena had received varying degrees of punishment. Life went on, but Xiao Xiao was getting lazier and lazier. She couldn't seem to wake up, and she didn't want to go to school either. She stayed at home and didn't want to go out. She turned on the heater in her bedroom, covered in a thick blanket, and sneezed nonstop. Lin Yi, the Miss Shu, and Tang Yun were all worried, but there was nothing they could do. The cold energy in Xiao Xiao's body was getting stronger and stronger, invading her entire body. That was why she felt so cold on a hot day like this. Knowing that she didn't have much time left, Lin Yi, the Miss Shu, and Tang Yun all stopped going to school. They stayed in the villa to spend the last years of her life with Xiao Xiao. They finished their high school courses a long time ago, and it was revision time now. With the Miss Shu and Tang Yun's self-learning abilities, it wouldn't be a problem even if they didn't go to school. The three of them had their own specialties, and they could complement each other. Xiao Xiao, what are you doing? Tang Yun looked curiously at Xiao Xiao, fiddling with the yarn. I want to knit a sweater for Shield Bro, Xiao Xiao said. I want to leave something for him as a souvenir, but I don't think I can last that long. I'll die before I finish, so I think I should knit a scarf. But I'm afraid I won't be able to finish it. Chapter 13:17. It's fine, I'll do it myself. Xiao Xiao shook her head, rejecting Yushu for the first time. This was her gift to Lin Yi, and she didn't want anyone else's help. How stingy. Yushu wasn't too happy about the rejection. BSB. Shu, stop messing around. Xiao Xiao's right. Let her do it herself. Only the things she weaves with her own hands have meaning. If you want to, you can weave one yourself. Meng Yao said. Oh. Yushu nodded and didn't say anything else. Lin Yi sat on the side, feeling down. This was the first time Lin Yi felt so helpless. Before, no matter what happened, Lin Yi would always think of a way to solve it. But now, he couldn't think of anything. Just when Lin Yi was at his wit's end, old Lin's call finally came. Old man, you finally called. Lin Yi was excited. Lin Yi's only hope was on old Lin. That ancient medicine saint you mentioned last time, is there any news? I did, but it's bad news. Old man Lin sighed and said, Don't be too sad when I say it. I found it, but why is it still bad news? Could it be that the fire spirit's fruit doesn't exist? Lin Yi paused and asked worriedly. Whether it exists or not, I can't say for sure, but I've never seen it before. Old Lin said, This ancient medicine saint is called Zhang Liju. I've confirmed that it's him, but his medical notes weren't passed down to the world. It said that he brought it to his grave, so this trail ends here, what? Zhang Liju? Lin Yi heard the words and gasped. You're saying that his medical notes might be in his grave? Yes. Why are you so excited? Old Lin didn't understand. Of course I'm excited. Lin Yi laughed heartily. He wasn't unfamiliar with the name Zhang Liju. He'd heard it more than once from Bodyguard and Ling Shan. The tomb Ling Shan was going to, wasn't it the holy Dr. Zhang's tomb? According to old Lin's deduction, Zhang Liju's medical notes hadn't been passed down to the world, which meant that it was most likely in his grave. In ancient times, people had the mindset that the teacher would starve to death if the student was taught. Even the kindest person would have this sort of concern, and so a lot of knowledge and culture was lost. So if this Zhang Liju had the medical notes, then it was possible that it was in his tomb. You know the Zhongliju too? Old Lin could sense something from Lin Yi's craziness. Yes, and not only that, I also know where his tomb is. Lin Yi didn't expect that things would suddenly take a turn for the better. It was a complete coincidence that he had lent a helping hand, but it had led to this opportunity. Oh, are you for real? Old Lin was in disbelief. Of course, it's actually a bit of a coincidence. It's like this. Lin Yi told Old Lin about how he saved Bujia. I didn't think that you would have this kind of opportunity. Perhaps the heavens don't want Xiao Xiao to have such a tragic life. Old Lin sighed, but you need to be prepared. Let's not talk about whether or not there's medical notes in Zhang Liju's grave. Even if the medical notes really exist, you might not be able to find something as legendary as the fire spirit's fruit. Oh? What do you mean? Lin Yi frowned. Old Lin's words were like a bucket of cold water splashing down on him. Lin Yi calmed down instantly, and he wasn't as excited as before. Yeah, it was hard to say if the medical notes existed or not. What was there to be happy about? First of all, it's hard to say if the notes would mention where the fire spirit's fruit grows. Old Lin explained. Secondly, even if it did, how many years has it been since Zhang Liju died? Whether or not the fire spirit's fruit exists is another matter altogether. It's better than nothing. As long as there's hope, I'll work hard. No matter what, I'll try. Lin Yi said firmly. Too much hope comes with too much disappointment. You need to have a normal heart. Old Lin said, You're slowly losing your normal heart. Haven't you noticed? You're changing completely. You're becoming more sentimental. Is that so? Lin Yi paused, perhaps, but this is good too. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just worried that you won't be able to get over it. Old Lin said, I'm relying on you for my retirement. Don't die from depression. You'll die before me. Don't worry. I'll let you die first. Lin Yi smiled. Zhang Liju went through a lot of trouble looking for this fruit back then. But according to the records, he had a natural sense of smell that allowed him to find a high-level herb in the vast wasteland. Old Lin said, Of course, I don't really believe it. Maybe he had something to rely on. That's right, Lin Yi nodded. Of course, I don't really believe it. Maybe he had something to rely on. You're saying that he has a magical item that can find herbs? Like my jade pendant? Lin Yi reacted quickly. He understood what Old Lin meant right away. Perhaps, so you really need to go to Zhang Liju's grave and pay attention. Old Lin said, I understand. Lin Yi nodded. If not for anything else, he had to pay attention to this magical item in order to find the fire spirit's fruit for Xiao Xiao. After ending the call with Old Lin, Lin Yi took a deep breath and called Lingshan. Lin Yi. Lingshan was a bit surprised. Lin Yi usually wouldn't call her on his own. You're looking for me? Yeah. When are you planning on going? Lin Yi asked. Grave robbing? Lingshan paused. You mean catching the grave robbers? Yes. Lin Yi nodded. This month, Lingshan said. I've already disguised myself as a member of the couple, and I've been in contact with the other grave robbers. I'll go too. Lin Yi said, I agree to your suggestion. Really? That's great. Lingshan was overjoyed. If Lin Yi joined, then their chances would be even higher. She was already a golden class late phase peak, but the other grave robbers were full of hidden dragons as well. She wouldn't be able to handle them if they had masters. Chapter 1318. Sure, but I can't give you the original. Lingshan had her principles. Lingshan had her own principles. She might have a good relationship with Lin Yi, but she couldn't change her principles. I don't need the original. Lin Yi just wanted to look at his medical notebooks. Original or not wasn't of any use to him. After confirming this, Lin Yi didn't tell Xiao Xiao and the others. After all, there was no progress yet. Just like Old Lin said, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. It was better to wait until there was a result. What Lin Yi was afraid of the most was that even if the fire spirit's fruit was recorded in the medical notes, it wouldn't be easy to find. And so, these days, Lin Yi started studying the map Bujia gave him. This grave-robbing mission was very important to Lin Yi, and he couldn't afford to be careless. He had to succeed. 3 days later, Lin, he was studying the map in his room when a scream came from outside. The door was pushed open, and Yushu rushed in. Shield bro, quick! Xiao Xiao fainted again. Go save her. Oh, Lin, he was shocked. He quickly put down the map and ran upstairs with Yushu. Why did Xiao Xiao faint? I don't know. She said she was cold and wanted to take a hot shower. We didn't think much of it, but it's been an hour since Xiao Xiao went into the bathroom. We got worried and went to check, only to find her unconscious in the bathtub. Yushu said with a sigh. Lenny nodded. He had foreseen this situation a long time ago. Xiao Xiao's illness would act up in the next few days. Even if it didn't act up today, it would happen tomorrow or the day after. But his heart was still heavy at the moment. Right, Xiao Xiao isn't wearing any clothes. Shield bro, you could do something to her. Yushu said suddenly. Huh? Lin Yi smiled bitterly and didn't say anything. She looked like an idiot, but Lin Yi knew that she was joking after seeing his heavy expression. Lin Yi walked into the bathroom quickly and saw Xiao Xiao in the bathtub. Tang Yun and Meng Yao were worried as well, but they couldn't do anything. They didn't dare move Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi didn't say much and carried Xiao Xiao into the bedroom, putting her on the bed. He then bit his wrist and let the blood flow onto Xiao Xiao's body. You need to be prepared. This situation isn't looking good. Zhao Yazi's voice sounded in Lin Yi's ear. Oh, Zhao Lao, what's going on? Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat when he heard Zhao Yazi's voice. This situation is more serious than I thought. The cold energy has entered every corner of her body, and it's too strong. I can feel it, Zhao Yazi said. Lin Yi's heart sank. Then this time, give it a try, but don't force it. Don't die from blood loss before you can save her. Zhao Yazi sighed. Lin Yi nodded and let his blood flow onto Xiao Xiao's body. Time passed, but Xiao Xiao didn't look any better today. On the other hand, Lin Yi's face was getting paler and paler. There was a limit to the amount of blood in a human body. If a normal person lost more than 15% of their blood, they'd go into shock, and 30% would be life-threatening. But Lin Yi's body was stronger than a normal person's, and he was losing more than 50% of his body's blood. A normal person would have died a long time ago. You can't do this anymore. If you keep bleeding, you'll be in trouble. Even if the art of dragon mastery can heal you, it'll still be dangerous. You're losing too much blood, and I'm afraid you will just die. Zhao Yazi warned. Lin Yi shook his head. He didn't stop. Xiao Xiao wasn't getting any better, so he couldn't stop. This was his last chance. If Lin Yi gave up, that meant that Xiao Xiao would never wake up again. And so, Lin Yi channeled the art of dragon mastery, using it to quickly replenish his energy, allowing his body to continue producing blood, but the time needed to produce blood wasn't enough to keep up with the rapid blood loss. Even with the replenishment of energy, it didn't help. Even someone as strong as Lin Yi was starting to feel dizzy. Hold on. Lin Yi reminded himself that he had to hold on until the end. This was his last hope. If Xiao Xiao didn't wake up, then even if he found Zhang Liju's medical notes and the fire spirit's fruit, what use would it be? He couldn't give up. He couldn't. Tang Yun, Meng Yao, and Yushu watched as Lin Yi's face grew paler and paler. They were worried for him, but they couldn't say anything to disturb him. They could only pray for Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao. Do you still want to continue? Have you ever thought that you might die? Zhao Yazi was panicking. Lin Yi was basically committing suicide. Zhao Lao, don't try to talk me out of it. I know what I'm doing. Even if it's dangerous, I have to keep doing it. I have no other choice. Lin Yi said to Zhao Yazi in his mind, Zhao Lao, there's no way out for me. If I give up, then it'll be useless even if I get the fruit. Man, Zhao Yazi sighed and shut his mouth, not saying anything else. Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao's face getting blurry, and he couldn't hold on much longer. Was this all fate? He'd worked so hard for so long, fought for so long, and still couldn't escape this day? Lin Yi felt himself getting weaker and weaker, as if he was hallucinating. He thought he saw Xiao Xiao smile again, and heard her sad voice. Remember when I said proudly, I've been to this world before. Don't tell me what eternity is. I'll be destroyed in the brightest moment. The next moment, Lin, he didn't know what was going on anymore. He fainted on the ground. Even a practitioner couldn't handle this much blood loss, and Lin, he was forced into the jade space. Chapter 1319. Why aren't you using this time to recover your stamina? What are you doing sitting there like an idiot? Xiao Yazi scolded Lin angrily. Lin froze. Xiao Yazi's words woke him up from his sadness. Yes, there was hope as long as he was alive. He didn't know if Xiao Xiao was dead or alive, but that didn't mean there was no hope. After his body recovered, he could think of a way to save Xiao Xiao. As long as Xiao Xiao wasn't dead by the time he woke up, then there was still a chance. With that thought, Lin said to Xiao Yazi seriously, "Jiao Lao, thank you. That sentence of yours was like a wake-up call, calming me down. Don't worry, I'll try my best to recover." "Okay, as long as you can think it through," Xiao Yazi nodded. Lin, he closed his eyes and sat cross-legged, channeling the art of dragon taking, making his body absorb the energy quickly. Time passed quickly as he cultivated, and Lin, who was forced into the jade space, was in a state of unconsciousness. He couldn't sense what was going on outside, and had to wait until his body recovered to a certain extent before he could re-establish contact with the outside world. Feng Tianlong rushed to the villa after receiving Tang Yun's call. Although they were father and daughter, it wasn't good for Xiao Xiao to be naked. After all, Xiao Xiao was a grown-up now. Therefore, Tang Yun stopped Feng Tianlong at the door of the bedroom. "Uncle Feng, please wait a moment. Yao Yao and Shu are helping Xiao Xiao get dressed. She want to take a shower and faint in the bathroom." Okay. How is Xiao Xiao? This time, can she be saved?" Feng Tianlong rushed over as soon as he received the call, but Tang Yun didn't explain clearly on the phone, so he asked anxiously as soon as he entered the room. This time, Tang Yun's expression darkened. To be honest, Tang Yun didn't like Xiao Xiao at first, and she agreed to Feng Tianlong's request because she had no other choice. But now, Tang Yun truly liked Xiao Xiao. She was worried for her, and didn't want her to leave. Tang Yun didn't finish her sentence, but Feng Tianlong understood what she meant. He nodded silently and walked into the bedroom with her. Xiao Xiao was already dressed by Meng Yao and Yu Shu, and when Tianlong walked in, he saw Lin lying beside Xiao Xiao. He couldn't help but gasp. At first, Tianlong thought that Lin was treating Xiao Xiao, but he didn't expect Lin to be lying beside Xiao Xiao. He didn't know if he was asleep or Lin lost too much blood to save Xiao Xiao and fainted. Tang Yun sighed. She was worried, but she knew that Lin had strong recovery abilities. She didn't need to worry too much. Then Xiao Xiao. Feng Tianlong's face was very ugly. Lin had lost too much blood, and Xiao Xiao wasn't awake yet. It was obvious what this meant. I don't know yet. She's not awake yet, but although her heartbeat and breathing are weak, but Tang Yun wanted to say that she wasn't dead, but that didn't sound good, so she didn't say it. She believed that Feng Tianlong would understand. Sigh. Feng Tianlong looked at his daughter on the bed, frowning. Was this day really coming? As expected, they couldn't escape from this curse. Xiao Xiao couldn't hold on, and followed in the footsteps of his wife. Looking at the pale-faced Lin Feng Tianlong was filled with guilt. He felt that he had wronged him. If it weren't for his request, Lin wouldn't have anything to do with Xiao Xiao, and wouldn't have gotten involved in this. But now, Lin was treating Xiao Xiao as his own responsibility, sparing no effort. Lin not only saved her twice from bad guys, but also pulled her back from the gates of hell. This kind of friendship was hard to come by, not to mention a fake couple. Even a real couple would not be able to do this. Husband and wife were birds in the same forest, but when faced with a disaster, they would fly away separately. This wasn't just a saying, there were too many examples. But Lin was willing to sacrifice his own body for Xiao Xiao. Feng Tianlong didn't know how to repay him. "Uncle Feng, what are you doing?" Tang Yun quickly stood up and stopped Feng Tianlong. "Yeah, Uncle Feng, we're good friends with Xiao Xiao, good sisters." "This is nothing," Meng Yao added. "Ever since Xiao Xiao came to the villa, she's brought a lot of joy to everyone." Yeah. We formed a troublemaking duo, ready to sweep the universe. Yushu said as well. All right, then I won't be unreasonable. If you're tired, go to sleep first. I'll wait here for Xiao Xiao and Yi to wake up. Feng Tianlong looked at the time. It's already 3 in the morning. I don't want to disturb your rest. It's fine. We're worried about Lin, Yi, and Xiao Xiao. Tang Yin shook her head. The two people she cared about the most were still unconscious. How could she be in the mood to sleep? Meng Yao and Yushu didn't say anything, but it was obvious that they thought the same. Seeing that his daughter had so many good friends, Feng Tianlong was touched again. Lin Yi quickly absorbed the energy in the jade space. In order to wake up sooner, Lin Yi compressed all the energy around him and absorbed it into his body. This way, he could absorb more pure qi in the same amount of time. But when the pure qi was released in his body, it gave Lin Yi immense pain. It was like small energy bombs exploding in his body. Although it was his own energy, it was still very uncomfortable for Lin Yi. But Lin Yi didn't care about that anymore. His only thought was to recover quickly and use his blood to heal Xiao Xiao. Seeing Lin Yi's crazy actions, Jiao Yazi didn't stop him. If Lin Yi wanted to suffer, then so be it. As long as it wasn't too dangerous, Jiao Yazi didn't want to interfere. Lin Yi even dared to use energy compression when leveling up, let alone now. Chapter 1320. Lin Yi saw Tianlong and the unconscious Xiao Xiao beside him. Jiao Lao, is there still hope? Lin Yi's body had recovered a lot, and he looked a lot better than before. It's hard to say. The severity of the situation has exceeded my expectations. The frost has basically invaded her meridians, and from a normal perspective, there's nothing we can do. Even if you manage to wake her up, it'll only be a day or two, Jiao Yazi said. Can you find a fruit in a day or two? I don't think it's possible. Lin Yi took a deep breath. A day or two? Even if it's just a day or two, I have to try. I can't just watch her die. Do what you want. You won't give up until you see the end of the road. Xiao Xiao has already developed a resistance to your blood, which means that the Yin frost in her body has reached a certain level, and your blood can't suppress it anymore. Jiao Yazi said. I know. No need to say more. Even a day or two is good enough. Lin Yi said. It's Xiao Xiao's birthday soon, and I don't want her to have any regrets. I haven't celebrated her birthday with her yet. Feeling that his body was almost healed, Lin Yi quickly left the jade space and came back to reality. Lin Yi had been using his senses to check on Xiao Xiao's condition, and it was good that there was still life, so Lin Yi could rest easy and recover. After waking up, Lin Yi didn't bother talking to Tianlong. He bit his wrist and let the blood flow onto Xiao Xiao's body. Tianlong was relieved to see Lin Yi wake up, but at the same time, he felt lucky. Xiao Xiao was in trouble, and if something happened to Lin Yi, how could he live with his conscience? Especially when Lin Yi was Lin Dongfang's disciple. If something happened to him, how would he answer to him? But the first thing Lin Yi did when he woke up was bite his wrist and continue healing Xiao Xiao. This made Tianlong's heart ache. He didn't know what to say. Lin Yi really cared about Xiao Xiao. Lil Yi, don't force yourself. Life and death are decreed by fate. You've already tried your best. Xiao Xiao is already like this. You can't harm your own body like this. Tianlong knew how important blood was to the human body. Although Lin Yi was a practitioner, he was also a practitioner. She'd lost too much blood to the point of fainting, and it was already a miracle that she could wake up without blood transfusion. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was giving her blood after waking up. Wasn't he looking to die? Don't worry, Lin Yi said faintly. I've almost recovered. I have to try everything. If I don't try, I won't be satisfied. Tang Yin, Meng Yao, and Yushu all fell silent after hearing Lin Yi's words. They all knew Lin Yi's personality. He would do what he said. Lin Yi's heart was conflicted. He wouldn't give up. Xiao Xiao's face was still pale and motionless, but Lin Yi still insisted on pouring his blood on Xiao Xiao's body. Time passed, and Lin Yi's face turned even paler and scarier, but Lin Yi didn't give up. The atmosphere in the room was very tense. No one spoke. Everyone was silent, and their eyes were on Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao. Finally, Xiao Xiao's eyelashes moved. She moved. She really moved. Yushu cried out. Ah! A happy smile appeared on Lin Yi's face. It seemed that Xiao Xiao had come back from the gates of hell. Tianlong's face was filled with joy and surprise as well. He didn't think that Lin Yi would be able to save Xiao Xiao this time. Xiao Xiao, are you awake? Tianlong ran over, a little excited. Ugh. Xiao Xiao opened her eyes in a daze and looked at the people in the room, surprised. I'm awake? I'm still alive? Yeah, you're still alive. Lin Yi nodded. Lin Yi, honey, you saved me again? Xiao Xiao looked at the pale face of Lin Yi, his wrist still bleeding. She felt a little bad. Yeah, Shield Bro lost a lot of blood to save you and fainted. Yushu nodded, but he kept saving you after he woke up. Shoo. Meng Yao stopped her from saying any more. Xiao Xiao would feel even worse if she said all this, wouldn't she? As expected, a sad expression appeared on Xiao Xiao's face. Lin Yi, honey, I'm really sorry. I'm not worth it. Even if I were alive, I wouldn't be able to last more than a few days. I can feel that the cold energy is still stirring. It's just being suppressed for now, I know. It's your birthday the day after tomorrow. After this day, you'll break the curse of dying before you're 20. Maybe things will turn around. Lin Yi said. Ah, really? It's my birthday the day after tomorrow? Xiao Xiao didn't even remember her birthday. Tianlong had been busy with work, and she didn't have any close friends, so she didn't remember her birthday. She didn't think that he would remember her birthday at all. I saw it on your ID. Lin Yi smiled. All right, don't say such depressing things. Everything's fine now. Okay. Xiao Xiao nodded after some hesitation. Yes, no matter what, she was alive again. Who cared how long she had left? She couldn't let Lin Yi down, could she? The sky was starting to lighten, and the three girls hadn't slept the entire night. Xiao Xiao had just woken up, but she was very tired as well. After talking for a while, she started yawning. Lin Yi didn't know what to say, but he didn't know what to say. Rest early, everyone. I'm going back to my room to rest as well. Lin Yi said. I'm going back too. Xiao Xiao, listen to Lin Yi here. Tianlong had work to do too. The Red Conch incident wasn't solved yet. Who knew what they were planning next? Luckily, Xiao Xiao was in the villa now, so they didn't have to worry about the Red Conches attacking. After leaving the room, the smile on Lin Yi's face disappeared, replaced with a worried look. Tianlong, who followed him out, saw the change in Lin Yi's expression, but he wasn't too surprised. How long can Xiao Xiao last this time? Chapter 1321. What? You're saying that you found a way to save Xiao Xiao? Tianlong froze and stared at Lin Yi with his eyes wide open. His breathing quickened as he asked, Little Yi, tell me, have you found a way to save Xiao Xiao? Uncle Feng, don't move yet. Let's go downstairs and talk in my room. Lin Yi was afraid that Tianlong's voice would disturb Meng Yao and the others in the room, so he made a gesture. Okay. Tianlong's body was shaking as he followed Lin Yi downstairs to Lin Yi's room. He couldn't wait as he entered. Lin Yi, tell me, do you have a way? Uncle Feng, I do, but I don't know if I can find the herb. If I can, then it's not a problem. Lin Yi said, but there's a problem, and that's time. There's not enough time. Even if I try my best, it'll take a month or longer. Xiao Xiao won't last that long, Herb. There's news on the fire spirit's fruit? Tianlong asked, surprised. Yes, I found an ancient medicine saint in a medical book. He once treated a very important patient with the fire spirit's fruit, and this herb can neutralize the coldness in the human body. It's what Xiao Xiao needs, Lin Yi said, and the place where this medicine saint found the fruit might be recorded in his medical notes, and the notes might be in his tomb. Oh, you're saying you found the tomb of this medicine saint? Tianlong said, surprised. I found it, and I'm preparing to go. Lin Yi nodded and told Tianlong about Lingshan's plan. Lingshan invited me to the tomb, and as a reward, she'll let me copy all the medical books in there. That's not a problem. Even if she doesn't copy it for you, I have a way to show it to you. Feng Tianlong wasn't worried about this. With his special department, it was easy for him to look up these things. Does that mean there's hope for Xiao Xiao's illness? That should have been the case, but time waits for no man. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and sighed. It's too late to know this news. If it were earlier, it wouldn't be like this. That's not a problem. I can still help Xiao Xiao maintain her last bit of vitality. Feng Tianlong said, You might not know this, but when Susu passed away, I made an ice coffin for her and sealed her in it. It can maintain her body's functions. What? You actually thought of this method? Lin Yi was slightly taken aback, then nodded. Absolute zero? Although the department I'm in is a little special, it's still not up to that standard. But even if it doesn't reach that temperature, it won't be a problem to seal Xiao Xiao for decades. Feng Tianlong said, I didn't think of this method. It was Lin Dongfang, your master. He mentioned an interesting story, saying that someone was frozen in a glacier, and when the glacier melted, the person woke up. That's why I thought of this method. Of course, although this method can ensure that Xiao Xiao's body doesn't deteriorate, there's still a risk. Let's not talk about whether that joke was real or not. Even if it was real, there's a lot of coincidence involved, so if she freezes to death and can't recover, that's fine. Lin Yi, on the other hand, had a happy smile on his face. As long as Xiao Xiao's body didn't change, Lin Yi had his omnipotent energy, and he should be able to revive her. Everything was ready, and all that was left was the fire spirit's fruit. Seeing the smile on Lin Yi's face, Feng Tianlong didn't say much. Lin Yi must have a plan. All right, I'll get someone to prepare and make another ice coffin. Feng Tianlong didn't dare delay and immediately prepared to make the arrangements. When you froze Ani Susu back then, did you think that she could be healed in the future? Lin Yi asked. Yes, Miracle Dr. Lin Dongfang said that if a Sky Class were to help, Susu could be saved, but Sky Class. Feng Tianlong smiled bitterly. I've already begged, but no Sky Class would risk losing a level to save a normal person. You've seen a Sky Class before? Lin Yi looked at Feng Tianlong, shocked. He didn't think that he'd come into contact with a Sky Class. It's fine. I'm just a normal person now. Let's not talk about that. Feng Tianlong evidently didn't want to talk about the past. He shook his head and didn't say anything else. Lin Yi saw Feng Tianlong's face and knew that he didn't want to talk about it anymore. So he didn't force him. If that's the case, then I'm relieved. If it's possible, I'll find 2 fire spirits fruits and give one to Ani Susu, but if there's only one, please forgive me, Uncle Feng. I can only give it to Xiao Xiao. If the fire spirit's fruit is split, no one can guarantee that it won't have any effect. You love your wife, but I also want my wife to live. I know, I understand. Feng Tianlong couldn't help but laugh after hearing Lin Yi's words. She's still my daughter. I believe that if I really gave the one and only fire spirit's fruit to Susu, even if she came back to life and knew that I didn't save Xiao Xiao, she would still kill me. Lin Yi nodded. Feng Tianlong was right. Which parent didn't want their child to be safe and happy? Even if they died, it didn't matter. He believed that if Xiao Susu woke up, she would have the same thought. Lin Yi believed that if he and Xiao Xiao had a child and Lin Yi found a fire spirit's fruit, Xiao Xiao would definitely give it to the child and not herself. After sending Feng Tianlong away, Lin Yi's mood brightened up. The dark clouds were swept away. As long as he solved the problem of time, everything else wasn't a problem. The fire spirit's fruit, Lin Yi believed that if he worked hard, he would definitely be able to find it. Even if he couldn't find it, he could wait until he leveled up to Sky Class to cure Xiao Xiao's illness. Drop levels? Lin Yi wasn't afraid. Did he drop too little? Because Xiao Xiao always dropped to 0, so this was the result no matter what, right? Negative levels. Chapter 1322. Jiang Wen and the professor got out of the police station without much hassle. They were victims, after all, and Lingshan only investigated how they got caught and tricked before letting them go. The problem now was that Scorpion had confessed, but they couldn't get the money back. This made Lingshan a little depressed. According to Scorpion, he was from the international criminal organization Red Conches. His purpose here was to get money for Red Conches, and the other was to work as an information center. Red Conch had been stirring up a storm in Songshan recently, so Lingshan didn't doubt Scorpion's words. Red Conch couldn't even catch the people from the Occult Investigation Department, let alone Ling Shan. This wasn't something she cared about, and so the underground arena case had to end here. After this case was over, Ling Shan would have to focus on the grave robbing case. This was a battle of wits and courage against criminals, and Ling Shan had to give it her all. After the underground arena case was over, Xie Yufeng continued to visit her every day. Ling Shan was annoyed, but there was nothing she could do about it. Sometimes, she really wanted Lin Yi to break his legs so he wouldn't bother her anymore. Ling Shan, you're finally done with the case, right? I saw the papers. It was a complete victory. Congratulations, you've done a meritorious deed again. Yufeng had been paying attention to Ling Shan. She said that she was busy with the case, and Yufeng knew that it was an excuse, but she really was busy. After the case was over, Yufeng planned to ask her out for a meal again. He'd like to see if she had any reason to reject him this time. That's because of everyone's hard work. Ling Shan said faintly, "Do you have something to say? I've booked a table at Starlight Hotel tonight. I'm planning to hold a celebratory feast for you. How about it? Are you free tonight?" Yufeng smiled. "Sorry, not tonight. There's another case." Ling Shan waved the file in her hand. "I have to work overtime tonight. Maybe next time." Yufeng was very troubled, and his face didn't look too good after hearing Ling Shan's words. But Ling Shan's reason was reasonable, and he couldn't say anything about it. He gritted his teeth. "All right, I'll be going then." Ling Shan frowned as she watched Yufeng leave. This guy had been chasing after her for a long time, and he'd always been a problem. She could brush him off now, but what would happen in the long run? There would come a day when Xie Yufeng would get impatient. And when would he get impatient? What would happen? At that time, House Song and House Yu might just fall out. What would happen to House Song's future then? Ling Shan wasn't in a good mood at the thought. If it weren't for this marriage, with Ling Shan's current potential, it would have been normal for her to have a seat in the noble house meeting. And so Ling Shan was very happy. But now, with the marriage with House Yu, things were different. On the surface, it looked like House Yu's support would make House Song stronger. But the problem was that Ling Shan didn't like Yufeng. If she didn't have anyone she liked, then it'd be fine. For the sake of House Song, Ling Shan wouldn't mind. But now that she had someone she liked, with her personality, she'd rather die than be with Yufeng. But this meant that there would be conflict. It was easy to get engaged, but hard to break off. This wasn't just about Yufeng lusting after her. It was about the face of the house. Of course, if House Yu broke off the engagement first, then House Song would have no choice but to accept it. After all, House Yu was strong, and in the noble house rankings, whoever was stronger had the right. The situation was reversed, and House Song was the weaker. If they broke off the engagement, House Yu might get angry and do something outrageous. There was a knock on the door, and Ling Shan sighed. "Come in." It was Yu Qian. He was invited by Ling Shan to discuss the grave robbing. "Ling Shan, what's wrong? Why do you look so sad?" Yu Qian might have given up on pursuing Ling Shan, but he still cared about her. Her every movement and smile were all under Yu Qian's observation. Naturally, he had to ask when he saw the worried look on Ling Shan's face. "Yu Qian bro, you're here." Ling Shan forced a smile. "Isn't a House Yu's you phone?" He came again just now and said that he had booked a table at the Starlight Hotel. "He wants me to go tonight and have a celebratory feast for me." "He's here again?" Yu Qian frowned. "Can't he tell that you don't like him?" "He can tell, but so what?" Ling Shan shook her head. "Didn't you see that too? You still don't give up?" I'm different. At least I'm not as persistent as him." Yu Qian felt a little awkward, but he seems to be a little too persistent. Who knows? I don't know how to reject him either. Ling Shan said, "The noble house meeting is coming up, and I don't want House Song and House Yu to turn against each other. It doesn't benefit House Song at all. But how about this? I talk to you phone. We're both men. It's easier to talk. If we ask him to give up and back off, it won't affect House Song and House Yu." Yu Qian sighed. "Let Yu phone cancel the engagement. That way, we can save our face." Yu Qian sighed. "It's no use. Yu Feng's different from you. He's someone who won't give up until he gets what he wants. I see the possessiveness in his eyes. He won't give up that easily." Ling Shan smiled bitterly. "He's an unreasonable person. No matter what, we still have to try." Yu Qian had a rough idea of Yu Feng's personality from what Ling Shan told him, domineering and unreasonable. But seeing how troubled Ling Shan was, he wanted to share some of her burden. It's fine. I don't want to drag you and House Qin into this, Ling Shan said with a wave of her hand. Your House Qin can't even save yourself. It'll be good enough if you can stay in the noble house meeting. Maybe I should talk to Lenny about it? Maybe he can do something? Yu Qian asked after some thought. We'll talk about it later. Lin, he seems pretty busy these days. Ling Shan said, let's just brush him off for now. We'll talk to him if it really doesn't work. Chapter 13:23. All right, we'll talk about it later then. Yu Qian nodded. This was Ling Shan's private matter, after all, and he couldn't say too much about it. He was just giving a suggestion from a friend's perspective. Yu Qian bro, I called you here to discuss the operation in a couple of days. I actually have some good news for you. Ling Shan shook her head, throwing Yu Feng's worries to the back of her head. Oh, what good news? Yu Qian paused. Don't tell me that Linny agreed to join this operation. That's right, you're right. Ling Shan nodded. With Linny joining us, this operation might be a lot smoother. Yeah, we're both golden class, and you're a golden class late phase peak. But facing those evil grave robbers, I'm still worried that something might go wrong. Yu Qian nodded. But this way, Lin E and I will be the couple, and you'll only be the follower, Ling Shan said, a little embarrassed. Naturally, don't worry, I won't have any thoughts. I've thought it through already. Yu Qian smiled. I support you and Lin E being together. I still have some thoughts, but I've let it go. All right, then this operation is set. Me, Lin E, and you will do it together. As for the others, you don't need to bring them. Ling Shan said. According to the information, the couple likes to work alone, and they don't like to bring too many underlings. Sometimes, they only bring one follower. In fact, it's not always good to have more people in a grave robber. There's a lot of traps in the graveyard, and one mistake and you'll die. It's fine if you have a good follower, but normal followers are just a burden. That's true, Yu Qian said. When do we leave? I've already contacted the other grave robbers. You better follow up on Bojia's side. I can't do much. He said he told us everything he knows, but I feel like he's hiding something. Ling Shan shrugged, a little regretful. This guy's really tight-lipped. Other than the things he told us, no matter what I did, he never spilled anything. However, his words were too rigorous and his thoughts were too clear. Even if a normal person were to tell the truth, there would still be some mistakes or omissions when saying the same truth so many times. However, he didn't. It was as if he had prepared a draft. This person's mind is too meticulous, but he's an expert in learning, so it's normal for his IQ to be higher than ordinary criminals. Chen Yutian said, but you don't have to worry about it too much. I think he probably told Lin Yi what he didn't say. It's probably about the medical books in Zhang Liju's tomb. It doesn't have much to do with us. That's possible. Ling Gui remembered that Boajia said he was going to give Lin Yi something. To Lin Yi, the only things that counted as benefits were money and medical books. Boajia didn't know Lin Yi, but he knew that Lin Yi was a skilled doctor. He couldn't give Lin Yi more than these two things. After that, Ling Shan and Yu Tian started to discuss the details of the mission, but most of it was just on paper. They didn't know what it was like inside the tomb, how dangerous it was, and what they were doing now was just to make sure they didn't have to worry about anything when it happened. Today was Xiao Xiao's birthday, and Ming Yao went to the supermarket with Shu early in the morning. They bought a lot of fresh fruits, preparing to make a fruit cake. Tang Yun was kneading the dough and making the cake base while Lin Yi told Xiaobo to buy butter. The miss had all the cooking utensils in the house, and Lin Yi was preparing to make a cake for Xiao Xiao. This wasn't hard for Lin Yi. There weren't any cake shops in Star West Village, and Lin Yi and Old Lin's birthdays were always made by Lin Yi himself. Lin Yi was by Xiao Xiao's side, looking at the thick jacket she was wearing, looking so down. He couldn't help but sigh. Xiao Xiao, don't worry too much. Didn't I tell you already? Uncle Feng will prepare an ice coffin for you and seal you up like your mother. I'll find a fruit for sure. Yeah, I believe you. I'm not worried, I'm just cold. Xiao Xiao said weakly. Actually, I'm really happy today. Lin Yi nodded. Xiao Xiao had been like this ever since she woke up 2 days ago. It was probably because she was supposed to be dead, but Lin Yi forcefully extended her life for 2 more days. Naturally, she didn't have much energy left. All right, it's your birthday, don't knit anymore. Let's put it off for a day. Lin Yi said as he saw Xiao Xiao pick up the needle and start knitting again. Let me knit. I'm afraid I won't make it in time. Who knows if I'll be able to live past tomorrow. Xiao Xiao shook her head and continued. Didn't I say that you won't die? Lin Yi said, you can knit it when you come back to life. That won't do. I want to give it to you now. Xiao Xiao said, who knows how long it'll be before I can come back to life. Lin Yi didn't stop Xiao Xiao from saying that. He got up and went to the kitchen to help Tang Yun with the cake. The doorbell rang, and Tang Yun went to open the door. It was Su Shirhan. Lin Yi had called her earlier, inviting her to Xiao Xiao's birthday banquet. She'd booked a ticket to leave today, but for Xiao Xiao, she changed it to tomorrow. Han, you're here. Tang Yun was surprised, not expecting Su Shirhan to actually come. Yeah, where's Xiao Xiao? I brought her a present, Su Jinghan said as she took out a gift bag. In the living room, Han, you play with Xiao Xiao for a while. I'm making a cake with Lin Yi. I can't stay with you guys for now. Tang Yun showed Su Shirhan her hand that was covered in flour. All right, go on then. Right? Do you need my help? Su Shirhan asked. No need, just accompany Xiao Xiao. Tang Yun shook her head. Han are here. Xiao Xiao greeted Su Shirhan weakly. Xiao Xiao, what's wrong? Why are you so weak? Why are you wearing a jacket at home? Su Shirhan's eyes went wide when she saw Xiao Xiao. It's nothing. Haha, maybe I'm dying? Xiao Xiao smiled. Chapter 1324. Shirhan fell silent. Xiao Xiao had seen through life and death, but she still felt a little uncomfortable. Seeing a friend she'd just met leave made her heart heavy. All right, Han, let's not talk about this. Lenny Honey said that he can cure me, so he definitely can. Who knows? Maybe you'll come back in a few years and find me alive again. Xiao Xiao saw that Shirhan wasn't in a good mood and started consoling her. Shirhan paused. Naturally, she didn't know about the ice coffin, so it was a little weird. It's nothing. What did you get me? Let me see. Xiao Xiao changed the topic. An album I recorded for you myself. Most of the songs are covers, but there's nothing special about it. I've never released it before, Shirhan said as she handed the gift to Xiao Xiao. Wow, not bad at all. I love it. Xiao Xiao happily put the gift away. Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Kong Fen all came back one after another. Good and Yuan Yuan, Fatty Lai, and Feng Tianlong were all invited as well. After the cake was done, everyone sat around the dining table and started singing the birthday song. Everyone knew about Xiao Xiao, but no one would bring it up right now. They didn't look sad, either. Everyone happily gave their blessings. I'm so touched. This is the first time I've had such a lively birthday, Xiao Xiao said emotionally. I used to celebrate my birthdays with my dad at most, but this time I have so many good friends. All right, time to turn off the lights and cut the cake. Yushu lit up the candles on the cake and happily turned off the lights in the dining room. In an instant, the dining room turned dark, and only the candlelight flickered. Xiao Xiao's face was flushed from the candlelight, and she looked exceptionally beautiful behind the candlelight. Xiao Xiao, you're 1 year older now. Do you have any wishes? Tianlong smiled at his daughter. Hearing that Lin, he had a solution. Feng Tianlong let out a sigh of relief. Not only was there hope for Xiao Xiao, but there was also hope for his wife to wake up. This made his 20 years of gloomy mood finally see some light. Yeah, I can't tell you. Xiao Xiao blushed, but under the candlelight, no one could see her blushing. Then, let's all stop talking and let Xiao Xiao make a wish. Shirhan suggested. All right. Xiao Xiao, hurry up and make a wish. Tell me secretly after you're done. Yushu said. Xiao Xiao nodded and clasped her hands together, closing her eyes as she silently made a wish. Xiao Xiao looked like she'd seen through life and death, and didn't fear death anymore. But in truth, she didn't want to die. Especially with a boyfriend like Lin Yi, and friends like Meng Yao, Yushu, Tang Yun, and Shirhan. She didn't want to die, and so she made a wish, hoping that Lin Yi would be able to cure her so that she could be with them forever. Xiao Xiao sincerely made her wish, and the beautiful images of the future appeared in her mind. She'd have children with Lin Yi, Tang Yun, Meng Yao, Xiao Xiao, and Shirhan. It was simply too beautiful, and she couldn't help but feel a little dizzy. No one spoke in the dining room. Everyone was waiting for Xiao Xiao to make her wish, but after a while, Xiao Xiao didn't look up. Lin Yi felt that something was wrong. Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi called. Xiao Xiao didn't reply. Lin Yi stood up and rushed over, checking Xiao Xiao's breathing and pulse. As expected, it was the same faint feeling she had when she was unconscious. Her illness had acted up, and she couldn't make it past her 20th birthday. Lin Yi subconsciously wanted to bite his wrist and use his blood to heal her, but Jiao Yazi's voice sounded. Don't waste your efforts. The cold in her body has seeped into her bones, and it's not something you can reverse. No matter how much blood you use, it won't do anything. The most important thing right now is to use the method you thought of before to seal her in an ice coffin, and then go find a fruit. Lin Yi paused before coming back to his senses. He stopped biting his wrist and sighed. Uncle Feng, prepare the ice coffin. I can't do it this time. There's nothing I can do. Lin Yi's words stunned everyone. Lin Yi had pulled Xiao Xiao back from the gates of hell time and time again, and they thought that he could do it this time as well. But they didn't expect Lin Yi to say something like that. Xiao Xiao. Tang Yin stood up first, her face pale. Lin Yi, is there no other way? Seal her in an ice coffin as soon as possible. I'll find a fruit. That's the only way. Lin Yi said seriously. Of course, when I break through to Sky Class, I'll be able to save Xiao Xiao, so don't be too sad. Just pretend that she's asleep. Lin Yi was sad as well, but he didn't want others to be sadder, so he tried to comfort them. Meng Yao, Yushu, and Shirhan all looked sad and sad as well. The day had finally come, and it was a good thing that they were all mentally prepared for it. I'll contact the ice coffin right now. Tianlong nodded quickly and started making the call. The usually lively House Chu's villa had returned to its usual calmness, and even the lively Yushu had become quiet. Xiao Xiao's death wasn't something that could be relieved in just 1 or 2 days. Xiao Xiao wasn't in the villa before, but it was a completely different feeling from now. Shield bro, when are you going grave robbing? Yushu urged Lin Yi almost every day, asking him when he was going. Lin Yi, I'll leave Xiao Xiao to you. Meng Yao reminded Lin Yi often that he had a mission, a responsibility. Lin Yi, as long as you save Xiao Xiao, I'll agree to anything. We can play together. Even a threesome is fine. Tang Yin, who was always shy, was even flirting with Lin Yi for Xiao Xiao. Chapter 1325. And so, Lin Yi spent these days researching the mechanisms of the tomb, and the blueprints and instructions Lu Buijia gave him were read over and over by Lin Yi. But even with the blueprints, Lin Yi didn't slack off. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't trust Lu Buijia, but the information wasn't complete. Lu Buijia's information only talked about the mechanisms on the outskirts of the tomb, but didn't talk about the facilities inside. After all, Lu Buijia himself only observed from the outside and didn't go in, so no one knew what the situation inside was like. Every afternoon, it was still Lin Yi, the Miss Shu, and Yin Yin eating together, but something seemed to be missing. No one seemed to want to talk, and the only thing they talked about was urging Lin Yi to go rob the tomb and find a way to save Xiao Xiao. Without Xie Yufeng, the school became peaceful again, and Pin Liang tolerated it for the time being. He didn't have any conflicts with Lin Yi and the others. The days went on, and in the blink of an eye, it was the day of the tomb robber. Lin Yi said goodbye to the Miss Shu and Yin Yun, but they didn't seem reluctant at all. Instead, they sighed happily. We're finally leaving. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. He smiled bitterly. Wait for my good news. But you have to be careful. Tang Yun said seriously. To us, Xiao Xiao is important, but you're important as well. Don't force yourself and do what you can. As long as there's life, there's hope. If something happens to you, not only us, but even Xiao Xiao will lose hope. Yeah, Lenny, you have to be careful. Meng Yao nodded. I understand, don't worry. Lenny nodded and said with a smile. Before leaving, Lin Yi called Gooden into the villa. Even though Songshan's enemies hadn't come knocking on their door, Lin Yi was still worried about the girl's safety. It was better to be safe than sorry. Even with Faubert around, Faubert was only a peak late phase golden class, and while he could deal with normal opponents, he wouldn't be able to handle the stronger ones. Gooden, I'll leave Yao Yao, Shu, and Yun's safety to you when I'm not here. Lin Yi said. Don't worry, boss. Leave this to me. Gooden patted his chest. I'll make sure to protect them when you're not here. But your body is special. You have to remember what I said. Lin Yi said seriously. If a master comes looking for trouble and you don't have the confidence, just kill him straight away. Don't hold back. You're strong, but if a mystic's punch hits you, you'll die for sure. And if the opponent isn't very strong, then cripple his resistance first. Then ask the mastermind behind the scenes. I'll remember. Gooden remembered Lin Yi's words. He looked honest, but he wasn't stupid. He knew that Lin Yi was telling the truth. That night, Gooden moved into the Chu Villa, Lin Yi's room. As for Yuan, they had to leave for now. Gooden and Yuan didn't want to leave, but as far as he was concerned, the mission his boss gave him was the most important. Lin Yi, on the other hand, went to the police station to meet up with Lingshan and Yutian. There were some things that needed to be done in unison. The other grave robbers weren't just for show, after all. If their disguise was exposed, then it'd be over. Yutian bro, Lingshan, you guys should have come up with a detailed plan for the grave robbing, right? Just show it to me. Lenny didn't beat around the bush, getting straight to the point. Lenny didn't need to be courteous with Yutian and Lin Yi, especially with Lingshan and Lin Yi. It's done, it's here. Yutian nodded and handed the plan to Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't say much as he sat on the sofa and started flipping through the book. He'd only skimmed through the tomb raiding plans. It was all theoretical stuff, with no practical use at all. He'd only read the introduction to the couple in detail, including their habits, style, etc., 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 etc. The couple rarely interacts with others. Even the other grave robbers don't know their true faces. After Lin Yi finished reading the information, he asked, in other words, we don't have to deliberately disguise ourselves? That's right. The couple was a very cautious and cunning tomb robber. If it weren't for the coincidence that I found them at the border, I wouldn't have been able to kill them. Shin Yuqian nodded. This way, it saves us a lot of trouble. They're a rather unique existence in the tomb raiding world. Their skills are high, and they're cunning. Their peers love and hate each other as well. Sometimes they're greedy and want a piece of every tomb, but other times they can't do without them. They're very experienced. Lin Yi nodded. Right now, it's me and Lingshan acting as the couple. You're our foundation, right? That's right. Yuqian nodded. You're the strongest among the three of us, and the male is also the strongest among the couple. What's your strength now? Or early phase golden class? Lin Yi looked at Yuqian and asked. Yes, I'm sorry, but I'm still early phase golden class. Yuqian said, a little embarrassed. He hadn't been able to raise his strength because of his talent. Then I'll raise you to peak late phase golden class tonight. You'll be able to protect yourself like Lingshan, Lin Yi said faintly. Yuqian froze. Peak late phase golden class? Did he hear wrongly? Lin Yi was going to raise his strength? And looking at Lin Yi's tone, it seemed like he was talking about something very normal. You should know how Lingshan raised her strength. Stop wasting time and start now. Lin Yi looked at Yuqian's shocked face and smiled impatiently. Chapter 1326. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Once the strength of these people increased, even the hidden families and ancient sects would not dare to act rashly in front of him. If he didn't want to be bullied, he had to keep increasing his strength. But at the same time, he also had to help the people around him. This wasn't just helping him, it was also for their own good. Otherwise, once Lin Yi's strength reached a certain level, Others wouldn't dare to do anything to him. But what if they tried to do something to his friends and family? Although Lin Yi would definitely go crazy for revenge, there were still some brainless people out there. All right. Yu Qian took a deep breath and said solemnly, I can't thank you enough. Don't say those useless things. Why are you being so polite with me? Lin Yi scolded with a smile. You'll only be able to protect Shu when you're strong enough. I can't protect her forever. You will still be the big brother in the future. But you and Shu. Yu Qian actually approved of his sister being with Lin Yi. Although there was still Ling Shan here, Tang Yin there, and Xiao Xiao there, but on one hand, Yu Qian could see that his sister really liked Tang Yin, and on the other hand, he admired Lin Yi. Let's not talk about this. Lin Yi waved his hand, ending the topic. He put his hands on Yu Qian's meridians. Start channeling your arts. I'm going to start. All right. Yu Qian nodded, and Lin Yi closed his eyes and entered the jade space, channeling the art of dragon mastery. In the next moment, a large amount of qi was absorbed into Yu Qian's body. Even if Yu Qian had heard Ling Shan talk about how she leveled up once, he couldn't help but be shocked. Could this be the legendary power imparting? The purity of this qi was something Chen Yu Tian had never seen before. Even the deep mountains and forests, the qi he absorbed wasn't half as pure as this. Chen Yu Tian didn't dare to waste any time and started absorbing as much qi as he could. Ling Shan had already been through Lin Yi's leveling up, and so she wasn't too surprised. She sat quietly on the side, protecting the two, not letting anyone disturb them. After midnight, Lin Yi stopped channeling, and Yu Qian reached the peak of the late phase of the golden class without a doubt. What Lin Yi wasn't surprised was that he still stopped at the bottleneck, unable to take another step forward. I'm really at the peak of the late phase of the golden class? Yu Qian opened his hands in disbelief, shocked. Is this for real? In such a short period of time, I actually have this kind of strength. It's like a dream. I felt the same way back then. Ling Shan looked at Lin Yi, who didn't seem to be affected at all, smiling bitterly. Just how strong was this person? Even if it was Grandma, she'd lose some strength when she passed on her grandpa's strength, and there was no way she could raise someone from the early phase of the golden class to the peak of the late phase in such a short time. How many levels did he cross in between? This was simply inconceivable. That's all I can do for now. Whether or not you can reach the mystic class depends on your own efforts. Lin Yi said regretfully, if I want to raise you guys to the peak of the late phase of the mystic class, I'll have to work hard to become an earth class. You can still raise. Yu Qian's eyes widened. He didn't think that the day Lin Yi became an earth class would be the day he became a mystic late phase peak. This was too hard to accept, wasn't it? But the truth was the truth, and he had to believe it. After all, he'd seen it with his own eyes. From the early phase of the golden class to the peak of the late phase in one night. The speed was like sitting on a rocket. All right, let's all get some rest. I'm tired too. Don't we have to leave early tomorrow morning? Lin Yi had been using every night to train, so that if he couldn't find a fruit, he'd be able to prolong Xiao Xiao's life when he became a sky class. The effect wasn't as good as the fruit, but it was a safer backup plan. After all, Lin Yi was sure that he'd reach the sky class one day. Ling Shan and Yu Tian didn't object, since it was getting late. But they were in Ling Shan's office, and sleeping was a problem. In Ling Shan's break room, there was a sofa that could fit two people if they squeezed together, but in the outer room, there was a sofa that could only fit one person. Lin Yi, you and Ling Shan can sleep on the bed. I'll sleep on the sofa. Yu Qian had already accepted the fact that Ling Shan and Lin Yi were sleeping together, so he suggested. Ling Shan blushed, but didn't object. In her heart, she'd long since considered herself as Lin Yi's woman. He'd seen everything, and even tried to seduce him. Why would she care about sleeping with Lin Yi? She couldn't wait. It's okay, I'm not sleeping. I can recover by training. I'll just rest on the chair. You guys sleep? Lin Yi said faintly. All right. Yu Qian nodded. I'll sleep on the sofa then. Yu Qian could see the disappointment on Ling Shan's face, but this wasn't something he could meddle in. It was better to sleep first. Then I'll go rest too. Ling Shan knew that Lin Yi was a man of his word. If he didn't want to go, there was no point in forcing him. After a night of silence, the three started their journey the next day to the ancient tomb in the outskirts of Songshan City. The three of them were in an off-road car. It was Yutian's car, but the original license plate had been removed and replaced with a fake one. This was a common method used by grave robbers, and Ling Shan and the others naturally followed suit. Although the tomb was in the outskirts of Songshan City, it was still quite far from the city proper, about 5 hours of driving. There were no highways, and there were mountain roads in between, so 5 hours was a conservative estimate. Sure enough, when the three of them arrived at their destination, it was already evening. This was a very desolate foot of a mountain. At the foot of the mountain, there was only a small village. It could be seen that the economy here was not very developed. The village was filled with bungalows, and the conditions were not very good. Chapter 13:27. No need, let's go straight. We're all practitioners, we don't need a rest. Lin, he said faintly. Lingsha nodded. She'd forgotten that they were all practitioners, so she'd naturally suggest that they set up camp in a village to rest, but that wasn't necessary now. Then let's keep going. We should be there soon. Lingshan said. The road became more and more difficult to advance. There was almost no one in this area. Even the people in the nearby villages would not come to this place. This was because this was a mountain range, and it was mainly composed of rock cliffs. There were no wild fruits or animals. People could do nothing but look at the scenery here. The scenery here isn't bad. It's a good place to take pictures. Lin, he sighed. It's a pity that no matter how good the scenery is, we can't develop it into a tourist spot because of the seclusion. The villages nearby are too poor, and the infrastructure is too bad. It'd take too much investment to develop this place into a tourist spot. No company would invest that much money here, and we don't even know if there'll be any returns. Yutian said. Lin, he didn't understand business operations, and so he didn't comment on Yutian's words. The car drove for a while, and the road got harder and harder. There were fewer trees on the side of the road, and there was nothing else other than desolate rocks. They'd thought that the scenery was pretty when they first entered the mountain range, but as time went on, it became boring and boring. Qin Yutian was right. This place wasn't suitable for a tourist spot. The scenery was too monotonous, and people who came here once wouldn't come back again. There was no point in staying here. We're almost there. We need to put on our masks. The tents in front might belong to the other tomb robbers. We need to be cautious and alert at all times. Don't let anyone see through us. Lingshan reminded. There's no need to be vigilant. Being too vigilant would only make people suspicious. Let's just do what we need to do. Lin, he said faintly. The couple style is very overbearing and arrogant. The information mentioned that too. Everyone in the industry knows that. Why would they be cautious? You're right. I was too worried. Lingshan said, getting taught a lesson. With that, Lingshan, and Yutian put on the masks they'd prepared beforehand. These masks were all taken from the couple, and they were all original masks. They didn't even need to copy them. As the car got closer, they saw rows of tents and rows of vehicles not far away. Most of the vehicles were off-road vehicles, but there were also a few large trucks. They were probably loaded with living materials. These grave robbers had many underlings, unlike the couple who prefer to be alone. When Qin Yutian drove closer, a few men with assault rifles walked out of the tent. Behind them, a short and skinny man waved his hand, signaling Qin Yutian to stop. What are you doing? This is a military administrative area. There's construction in front of us. We can't go through. The short and thin man said lightly. If it were a normal tourist, they might have really believed the man's words and turned around to leave. But Qin Yutian came here with a purpose. Naturally, he wouldn't believe the man's words. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. There's wood in front, right? Qin Yutian said faintly. This was the newest entrance to the grave robber's business, and he got it from Lu Buijia himself. He believed that the short and thin man would understand. Oh, the man said calmly. Heavenly King covers Earth Tiger. The previous sentence was a common opening in the tomb robbing industry, and this sentence was the agreed-upon secret code for this tomb robbing. If they could not answer, then sorry, the short and thin man would wave his hand, and the burly men with the submachine guns would not hesitate to open fire. If he could match the first sentence, but not the second sentence, it was very likely that this person was also a member of the thief sect. He must have heard the news and wanted to fish in troubled waters to get some benefits. Therefore, the dark and thin man would never let these people have a share of the profits. Pagoda-bearing, heavenly, kingly, Chen Yuqian said calmly. He got this secret code from the couple's logbook. Even Lu Buijia didn't know this secret code. The couple might have been afraid of forgetting this secret code, so they recorded it in their logbook. Both Yuqian and Lingshan wanted to laugh when they first saw the signal. The first reaction most people would have was the pagoda suppressing the river monster, but it'd be a huge mistake if they were to say something like that out of their mouth. A friend from afar. May I ask which group you're from? The short and thin man's face softened a bit. He knew that this was the group they'd agreed on. Old hey, you don't even fucking recognize me anymore? Why were you wasting my time? Do you want me to make him run you over? Before Chen Yuqian could say anything, Lin Yi opened the car door unhappily and jumped down, scolding the man. According to Chen Yuqian's information, this old He was the leader of the Red Pagoda tomb robbers, as well as the discoverers of this tomb. The couple had a weird temper and thought highly of their skills, looking down on their peers. They weren't very popular usually, but when it came to difficult tombs like this, they had no choice but to invite them over. And so, Lin Yi started scolding them as soon as he got out of the car. Male thief, you're still so bad-tempered. I'm just doing this for safety. The fewer people here, the more benefits we'll get. I'm just worried that someone might hear about this and come join the fun. The short and thin man called Old Hay shook his head helplessly. He was pissed off, but there was nothing else he could do. Lin Yi humphed coldly. Where are the others? Are they all here? My time is limited. Kung Bro, Hao Yi, and James are all here. They're resting over there. The short and thin man said. Everyone's here? When is it starting? Lin Yi asked. According to the information he'd read, there were only 5 groups of people who'd come this time, and one of the couples had already become him. The other 4 groups were all present. Chapter 1328. He only nodded. If you guys are hungry, you can buy some food over there. With that, the skinny man pointed at the 2 trucks not far away. No need, we brought our own food, Lin Yi said faintly before getting back into the car. Yu Qian, on the other hand, drove off to find the camp. What the hell, an idiot! Beside the skinny man was a big man with a submachine gun. He spat out a mouthful of phlegm on the ground as he watched Lin Yi's car leave. Does he really think he's some sort of big shot? He's so rich, and he brings his own food every time. Why didn't he get killed by the traps in the tomb? He's not on the same side as us. We don't get along well. Maybe he's worried that we'll poison his food. Old Hay shook his head and went back to the tent without saying anything else. Lin Yi, you're not bad. Lingshan praised after the car was far away. I was so nervous just now, scared that Old Hay would see through us. His eyes are like sharp swords, like they can see through people's thoughts. But you got out of the car and started yelling at him. It's fine if he yelled at me, Lin Yi said faintly. What do we do now? Set up a tent like them? Yes. According to the data, the couple doesn't have a good relationship with the other tomb robbers, so we don't need to visit them. We just need to wait here. Lingshan said. Lin Yi nodded and started setting up the tent with Yu Tian. He then took out some food from the car and went into the tent. Old Hay had been watching Lin Yi's group with his binoculars and only breathed out in relief when he saw them setting up the tent like normal and not doing anything else. Although Old Black felt that there was nothing wrong with the burglar couple today and everything seemed normal, for some reason, he felt that the male burglar couple gave off a dangerous feeling. It was different from before. Blackie shook his head. Perhaps he was being too sensitive. Inside the tent, Yu Qian and Lingshan were munching on bread and drinking mineral water. Lin Yi, on the other hand, just ate something and started practicing. There was an endless amount of energy in the jade space that he could absorb, so skipping meals was fine. As for that piece of bread, it was just out of habit. Let's take turns to be on duty at night. One person will be on duty while the others sleep, Ling Shan said as she ate. I don't feel too reassured. I'm worried that they'll notice something and do something bad to us. Not at the moment, but it's fine. You guys go to sleep. I'll keep watch. Lin Yi said indifferently. My cultivation is no different from sleeping. I can sense everything that is happening outside. Ling Shan's mouth was agape, but she didn't say anything. She knew how weird Lin Yi was, after all, and it wasn't a surprise to her. Xiaoke was about to die from tiredness. Money really wasn't that easy to earn. Earning some extra money to support the orphanage wasn't easy at all. Although the orphanage had received a huge donation from Songshan Songshan First School, more than 2 million, she couldn't just sit there and do nothing. She wouldn't let go of a chance to earn money. Songshan's anti-theft operation was still ongoing, and Xiaoke had no business to do it all. She had to look for other opportunities. She posted a mission on the Thief's Doors website, and a tomb robber organization called Red Pagoda accepted her mission, asking her to help with the tomb robberies. And so Xiaoke came, but she didn't have a car. She did rent one before, but the driver would only drive her to the village in front at most. He wouldn't drive any further. It couldn't be helped. Xiaoke called a taxi, not a sedan. Driving on this kind of road would damage the chassis, and no amount of money would let her go. And so, Xiaoke could only walk after getting off the car. Although she was the successor of Fian's sect, and her Qin Gong was amazing, walking 10 kilometers in one go was still exhausting. After all, she was a girl, and her stamina wasn't that good to begin with. Damn it, I'm finally here. Yu Xiaoke was on the verge of tears when she saw the tent not far away. She couldn't help but cheer and use her Qin Gong to run forward. Who are you? Old Hay was still blocking Xiaoke's path with a few men with guns. People from a Fian sect, Yu Xiaoke stopped and said while gasping for breath. You walked here? Old Hay was confused when he saw someone running over, but he didn't expect it to be the Fian sect he was waiting for. He couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Fian sect's people were amazing. Running this far? Yeah. Why didn't you send a car to pick me up? I'm so tired. Xiaoke rubbed her waist and complained. Heavenly King covers Earth Tiger. Old Hay felt that this girl in black was most likely from Fian sect, but he still asked out of caution. Pagoda bearing Heavenly Kingly. Xiaoke said, All right, I got it. Let me see what the tomb looks like. We should talk about our conditions. Of course. Please come with me. Old Black nodded. He didn't dare to offend the people of the Fian sect. The Fian sect was an established sect in the Thief sect. They had a unique understanding of secret mechanisms. This time, I'm not the only one participating in this grave robbing operation. So, we need to discuss how much we can give you. I don't have the final say. Of course, it all depends on your own ability. Old Black's words were very clear. If you want more benefits, you have to show some ability. If you can enter the tomb smoothly, then it wouldn't be a problem to give you a share. But if you're not good enough, then you won't be of much use. At most, they'll just give you a reward. All right, Xiaoke nodded. Lin, he was training when footsteps came from outside the tent. Lin, he immediately came back to reality and stood up. Someone's here, but it's not a master. Tian, go take a look. Yu Qian was here as a follower, so Lin, he called him Lil Tian. Chapter 1329. What's the matter? Yu Qian asked faintly. The man paused upon seeing Yu Qian come out. He didn't expect the thief couple's follower to be such a master, noticing him walking over. But he wasn't surprised. Which tomb robber didn't have masters by their side? Even Old Hay had a mystic-class master by his side. These people lived their lives with their heads hanging on their waists. One wrong move, and they'd die in a tomb. Hey bro wants the two of you to go to his tent. The guests are here, and he wants to have a meeting to discuss the profit sharing. The man didn't beat around the bush, getting straight to the point. All right, you go back first. We'll be right there. Yu Qian nodded. The man didn't say much. This was how the couple were, and they didn't interact much. He turned and left after informing them. Yu Qian went back to the tent and told Lin Yi and Ling Shan what the man wanted. The man wasn't speaking softly, and Lin, Yi, and Lingshan heard him clearly. The three prepared themselves and left the tent, heading to Old Hay's. Old Hay's tent was the outermost one, in charge of interrogations and security. Lin Yi's tent, on the other hand, was the innermost one, and so by the time they reached Old Hay's tent, the others were already there. With the couple's usual style, they wouldn't take the initiative to greet other people, and so Lin, Yi, and Lingshan found a place to sit down. Yu Qian, on the other hand, stood behind them as a bodyguard. Kung Bro was the leader of a group of tomb robbers, and Kung Bro was just his nickname. As the name suggested, his face was full of holes, as if he had some sort of illness. In short, he was terrifyingly ugly. Old Hao, on the other hand, was an old man in his 50s. According to the information, he was a senior in the tomb raiding industry, highly respected and experienced. This time, Old Black was afraid that he wouldn't be able to take the tomb for himself, and that others would have other ideas, so he got Old How to take charge. The last person was a foreigner named James. But thinking about it, James was just his alias. It was impossible for people in this industry to show their real names. Many foreigners were interested in antiques, but not many of them were here to rob tombs. This James is a capable person. It was said that when the tomb was first discovered, he was there as well, and Kung Bro was there as well. Only Old Hao joined later. All right, everyone's here. It's not the first time we've worked together, so there's no need for introductions. I'll introduce you all to an external helper, a famous one in the Steel Sect, the successor of the Fiend Sect. With that, Old Hay waved his hand, and Xiaoka walked into the tent. Lin, Yi, and Lingshan paused when they saw Xiaoka enter the tent. Why was she here? But when Old Hay introduced the Fiend Sect, he suddenly remembered that the first time he met Xiaoka, this girl had claimed that she was a disciple of the Fiend Sect and wanted to compete with him. Who would have thought that Xiaoka would be invited by Old Hay as well? Lin, Yi, and Lingshan exchanged glances, both a bit surprised and a bit alarmed. They couldn't let Xiaoka find out about their identities, at least not in front of everyone. Otherwise, they'd have no chance at all. Everyone knows what the Fiend Sect does, and I'm sure everyone here knows about the traps in the tomb. We don't have much confidence, and Lu Buojia isn't helping us, so we can only ask for external help. Olhei said, let's split the benefits before we rob the tomb, so we don't have to worry about conflicts later. I agree. We need to have rules when we're working together, otherwise we'll get blinded by greed. Old Hao was the first to agree. He was here to hold the line, so naturally he agreed with Old Hay's point of view. I agree as well. It's better to be clear about this. Kung Bro nodded. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. I agree. James said in a weird tone. I have no objections, Lin, he said faintly. All right, since no one has any objections, then let's start splitting the benefits. I have a suggestion. I wonder if anyone has any objections? Old Hay said, we found this tomb together, but I was the one who got the clue first, so I should take 30%. Yes, that's a good idea. Everyone nodded. Every profession had its own rules, and as the one who gave the clue, Old Hay naturally had the right to take 30%. Kung Bro, Old Hao, the duo, and James, you guys take 15% each, and the remaining 10% goes to the Sparrow Girl from the Fiend Sect. Old Hay said, of course, the Sparrow Girl needs to show her true strength. Sure. After a moment of silence, Kung Bro, Old Hao, and James all nodded in agreement. There had to be a lot of treasures in this sort of dangerous tomb, but if they didn't have someone powerful, they wouldn't be able to get in. 15% didn't sound like much, but it was still a huge amount of wealth. Moreover, this distribution was clearly the most reasonable. Although Old Black took double, he was the one who put in the most effort. Moreover, after he received the information, he didn't monopolize it. Instead, he shared it with everyone to find the exact location of the ancient tomb. 15% is too little. I want 20. At this moment, Lin, he spoke up. Lingshan paused, a little annoyed at Lin, for messing with her. Even if he wanted 100%, it wouldn't be his in the end, so why did he have to do this? But Lin, he had already spoken, and she couldn't go against it. She could only see how Lin, he would handle this. Oh, Old Hay frowned. He didn't expect the male thief to speak up. But he didn't want to piss off this male thief, since he wasn't much weaker than Bodyguard and the Fiend sect. Male thief, how do you think we should split it? I don't care how others split it, I want 20%. Lin E said domineeringly. That's... Old Hay sighed. This distribution is the most reasonable. If you want an extra 5%, I wouldn't be able to take it from the others, so I'd have to take it from my share. But why should I give you that extra 5%? Chapter 1330. Lenny nodded and didn't say anything else. Lingshan and Yuqian, on the other hand, started to admire Lin E. The more Lin E was so calculative, the more he fit the image of a thief couple. These people wouldn't suspect anything. Sparrow Girl, what about you? Do you have any objections? Old Hay turned to Xiaoka. I'll give you 10%, and that's according to the rules. Nothing more, nothing less. Technological foreign aid is 10% of the profits. No problem. Xiaoka nodded agreeably. In fact, Old Hay was very fair, since everyone was paying the same price. But let's get this straight up front. If you can't solve anything, then I'll just give you some money and let you go back. Old Hay said, this 10% is still valuable. I understand. Xiaoka said confidently. You know Fiend's sex reputation, right? They keep their word. But I want cash for this 10%, not items. What Xiaoka lacked was money, and she had no use for the treasures in the tomb. It would be hard to get rid of them, so she suggested it directly. Sure, but you know the rules. The discount rule is 20% off the market price. Old Hay said, we can't get rid of them immediately. There's always a risk if we keep them in our hands. Understood. Xiaoka nodded. But if you don't want them, I can pick them up, right? That's up to you. Old Hay nodded. Lenny didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Xiaoka's words. This girl really was a little money grubber. She didn't want to let go of anything at all. Why would she want to pick up things that other people didn't want? But no matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. These grave robbers had very high standards, and they wouldn't be interested in normal things. Picking them up would take up too much space, and some small things like gold and silver would be good for Xiaoka. After confirming the division of benefits, there was nothing else to talk about. Old Hay said, since no one has anything to say, then it's settled. I don't want any conflicts of interest. I think with Old How here, everyone can follow the rules. Everyone nodded, but no one knew how much sincerity was in this nod. When the benefits were not big enough, everyone could naturally abide by the rules, but once the benefits were to the point of making people jealous, then it was hard to say. I'll head back first, Lenny said faintly as he stood up and walked out of the tent, Lingshan and Yuqian following closely behind. Let's all get some rest. We'll enter the tomb together tomorrow morning. Old Black nodded and said. Back in the tent, Lingshan said immediately, that fiend sect, but Lenny put a hand over her mouth and made a shushing gesture. Lin E, on the other hand, continued. The fiend school might not be able to do that. We have some key information about this tomb in our hands. Even if they could solve it before, the last step is still up to us. Otherwise, everyone will die. With that, Lin E pointed at a corner of the tent. Lingshan and Yuqian looked at where Lin E was pointing and saw that there was a listening device installed on the side of the tent. Lingshan's heart skipped a beat. She was lucky. She had been too rash, and if it weren't for Lin Yi's quick reaction, she would have been exposed. She wanted to say that fiend sex flying sparrow girl was Xiaoka. Wasn't that the female thief she was after? Her identity would have been exposed if she said that, and Old Black's assault rifles would have surrounded them. Even if the three of them managed to escape, the mission would have been a failure. Tian, check the inside of the tent. See if anyone did anything to it. After saying that, Lin Yi seemed to have remembered something, ordering Yuqian. Yes, Yuqian pretended to check the insides of the tent. It'd be too fake if he found the listening device right away. He wanted to search for a while before taking it out. Also check the other parts of the tent to see if anyone had done anything to it. Old Black was listening to Lin, E, and Lingshan's conversation with a listening device, and he heard Lin Yi telling Yutian to check if anyone had done anything to the tent. He was troubled. He thought to himself that this couple was still on guard against others. But that was to be expected. Who wouldn't be on guard in this line of work? He'd asked his men to put a listening device in someone else's tent when they were discussing. Wasn't that to guard against others as well? After hearing Lin Yi's words, Old Black finally understood why Lin Yi was so confident in asking for 20%. He had a trump card. He actually had information on this tomb. Old Black's heart palpitated as he listened to Lin Yi talk about the mechanism. Luckily, he'd agreed to Lin Yi's request. Otherwise, wouldn't they all be dead in the tomb? Wouldn't it be a huge loss if Lin Yi took advantage of them all? Not long after, it was obvious that the male thief subordinate, Xiao Tian, had found the listening device. There was only a creaking sound, and there was no sound from the earpiece. The listening device had been destroyed. Didn't expect this couple to have a trump card up their sleeves. No wonder they were so cocky. One of Old Black's underlings said. He was in charge of listening to the other tomb robbers, but the others didn't say anything important, and he carefully removed the listening device. Evidently, no one here was an idiot. They were all people with some tricks up their sleeves. Old Black shook his head. This was the only thing he could do. Everyone had spoken nicely, and there wasn't anything wrong with the distribution of benefits. But who knew what would happen tomorrow? Yu Xiaoke didn't bring a tent, but Old Black gave her one. She didn't have the money to buy things from the supply truck, which belonged to another faction in the Steel Sect. There was a group of people in the Steel Sect who didn't participate in tomb robberies, but would go wherever there were tomb robberies to sell their daily necessities. They had everything, but the price was ridiculously high. This line of work had been around for a long time, and they'd gotten permission from a few respected seniors in the sect. Chapter 1331. Familiar? Of course, don't underestimate these people. They had the support of the big bosses of the thief sect. If anyone dared to touch them, they would be ostracized by the entire thief sect. These grave robbers were all rich, and they weren't afraid of the high prices of their daily necessities. Most importantly, they were too lazy to carry it. However, the thief couple was a special case. Although these two people were incomparably arrogant, they were very vigilant. They were always on guard against others trying to harm them. Therefore, regardless of clothing, food, shelter, or transportation, they rarely bought anything from others. Instead, they carried it themselves. Xiaoke knew this rule as well. She carried a backpack filled with biscuits and water, as well as some essential tools. A little money grubber like her wouldn't spend a lot of money on food. After returning to the tent, Xiaoke set up an alarm system before laying down on the mat to sleep. Although they were all from the thief sect, Xiaoke was a girl, and she had to be careful when she was out alone. Today, why does the male thief's voice sound so familiar? Xiaoke murmured to herself. Have I seen him somewhere before? Xiaoke was part of the thieves' sects and had participated in a couple of tomb traps, but she'd never met the couple before. Both of them were wearing masks, and if she'd seen them before, she should have had a deep impression of them, but she hadn't seen them before. Could it be that she'd seen the couple without their masks? Xiaoke froze, shocked by her own bold idea. Was that even possible? Forget it. Xiaoke shook her head and didn't want to think about it anymore. The couple was wearing masks, so it was obvious that they didn't want people to see their real faces. If she went over to see them, they might hold a grudge against her. Xiaoke was here for money. As for other things, she didn't want to cause more trouble. As for Xiaoke, Old Hay didn't eavesdrop. Xiaoke was alone, and he wouldn't be able to get anything out of it. The Fian sect was known for their cautiousness. There was no need for him to do anything unnecessary. On Lin Yi's side, after Yutian removed the bug, Lin Yi glared at Lingshan. Be careful next time. Think before you speak. Like an idiot. Don't talk about the silly girl. I know I'm in the wrong. Lingshan blushed, embarrassed by Lin Yi's words. I didn't know these grave robbers were this cunning, planting bugs here. In the future, unless I take the initiative to ask, don't talk about the plan, Lin Yi instructed. The Jade had warned them of danger when they entered the tent, and so Lin Yi subconsciously covered Lingshan's mouth and said something random. not expecting to actually find a listening device in the tent. I understand. Lingshan nodded obediently. Shen Yutian learned from Linny. He didn't speak before because he didn't have the time to. Now that he was reminded by Lin Yi, he realized that these tomb robbers were much more cunning than he thought. When are you going to arrest them? Lin Yi asked. With their numbers and weapons, it's not hard for us to escape, but it'll be hard to take them all down. We'll play it by ear. Once all the traps are solved, I'll inform my colleagues to surround this mountain range and take them all. Yu Qian said. All of them? I hope so. Lin Yi smiled and didn't say anything else. The map Wujia gave him was already hard enough. Who knew what other traps were waiting for him? This ancient medicine saint was very famous, and he knew a lot of people from all walks of life. The traps in the tomb were all designed by these people, and normal people wouldn't be able to solve them. At night, Lin Yi sat on the ground practicing, while Ling Shan and Yu Tian fell asleep. They needed to recover their stamina and spirit to their peak for tomorrow's operation. The next morning, Ling Shan and Yu Tian woke up early. They were both practitioners, and while they weren't as good as Lin Yi at staying awake, they could still recover their stamina in a short amount of time. You're awake? Eat something. We'll go to Old Hay's place. Lin Yi heard people walking around outside the tent. The other tomb robbers must have woken up as well, but whether or not they were resting wasn't something Lin Yi cared about. You didn't sleep the whole night? Ling Shan asked. Yeah, don't ask useless things like that. Let's eat and leave. Lin Yi said impatiently. Ling Shan didn't dare say anything else. She and Yu Tian took a few bites of bread before the three left the tent. As expected, Xiaoke, Kung Bro, and James were all in Old Hay's tent. Only Old Hao wasn't there yet. Old people weren't as energetic as young people. Two thieves, you're up so early as well? Old Hay greeted Lin Yi and Ling Shan with a smile. Ever since he heard what Lin Yi said in the tent yesterday, Old Hay's attitude towards Lin Yi had grown even more respectful. Humph. Lin Yi humphed coldly. You the one who put the bug in? Haha, my men don't know any better. Don't take offense. Old Hay laughed. Only a couple like this would be able to expose something like this to their face. If it were someone else, they'd be too embarrassed to bring it up. But now that it was out in the open, everything was a lot easier. There was no need to hide it anymore. Now, you don't think 20% is much, right? Lin Yi asked. Naturally. If you can help out in a critical moment, I'm willing to give you that 20%. Old Hay said. Good that you know. With that, Lin Yi found a spot and sat down, closing his eyes to rest. Ling Shan sat beside him as well, and Yu Qian stood behind Lin Yi and Ling Shan like a door god. Xiaoke didn't say anything, just sitting beside Old Hay's tent and drinking the porridge. Old Hay was treating her, so she'd be wasting it. One can cost 10,000. Xiaoke's heart ached as she drank. Wouldn't it be better if she had 10,000? She could buy a cart full of porridge and feed the kids in the orphanage for so long. Chapter 1332. You can have it. And so, Xiaoke complained as she ate. This porridge seller was really scamming her. She'd see if she could steal some money from them after the tomb raid. It was decided. As the saying goes, even thieves have their own rules. In the Steel Sect, they also rely on their own abilities to survive. It's okay to do evil, but must be done skillfully. If they openly rob with weapons, then it's not what the Steel Sect does, it's what the underworld does. However, with the development of the Steel Sect, some people began to break the rules, especially some newcomers, who became impetuous and greedy. However, they didn't dare to be too brazen because of the deterrence of the big bosses of the Steel Sect. They just played some tricks in the dark. The competition on the surface was still based on skills. Whoever was more skillful would get more. Of course, the thief gangs in the city didn't belong to the thief sects anymore, and they didn't care about the rules. That was why Xiaoke got ganged up on that day. Do you want some porridge? Old Hay took out 2 cans and tossed it to Lin Yi. Don't worry, I'm not stupid enough to poison it. Don't be scared with Old Hao here. Plus, I can't ignore what you said yesterday, whether it's true or not. I'm not hungry. Lin Yi took it and put it on the table in front of Xiaoke. You can have it. Xiaoka didn't reject it and accepted it. She wouldn't even be willing to drink a few kwai can of 8 treasure porridge, let alone a 10,000 kwai 1 can. Now that Big Head was paying, she wouldn't hold back. Old Hay shrugged and didn't say anything else. The couple's personalities were a little out of place, and these people were used to it already. After a while, Old How came to Old Hay's tent with a few of his underlings. He didn't look embarrassed when he saw everyone there. Old Hay, can we start now? And I'll go check out the tomb today. Everyone pack up. We're going to rob the tomb. Old Hay nodded. This time, the profits belong to everyone, and I hope that you guys don't hide yourself. Use whatever skills you have, or no one will get anything good. Of course, it's not the first time we've worked together. Kung Bro nodded in agreement. Although I'm not as experienced as you guys, my technological equipment is top-notch. James said, I'll definitely do my best if I'm needed. Humph. As long as my 20% is not a small amount, there is naturally no problem, Lin said coldly. All right, Old How is here too, so it's settled then. Old Black was obviously a very careful person. He confirmed these things again and again, afraid that there would be any problems. In half an hour, we'll be here, and then we'll go explore the tomb together. Everyone nodded and went back to prepare, but Lin Yi, Ling Shan, and Yu Tian didn't go back, sitting there quietly as if they didn't hear what Old Hay said. Male thief, aren't you going to prepare? Old Black asked. No need, Linny said calmly. We're just exploring the tomb. What's the point of bringing so many things? Do you want to die? Old Hay shrugged and stopped talking to Linny. Talking to this guy was just asking for trouble. The guy's personality was too weird. No wonder he wore a mask all the time. With that temper, he must have a lot of enemies. If people knew what he looked like, he'd die sooner or later. Xiaoka didn't leave, too. She was getting more and more familiar with this male thief. It was a woman's intuition, or rather, a thief's intuition. She kept feeling like she'd seen Lin Yi somewhere before. Old Hay went to pack up, and Xiaoka couldn't help but raise her head and look at Lin Yi curiously. What are you looking at? Do you want to die? Lin Yi knew that Xiaoka had suspicions. Lin Yi had purposely changed his voice, but Xiaoka might still be able to see through it. It was an intuition. Xiaoka stuck her tongue out, but didn't continue asking after seeing Lin Yi's fierce face. Half an hour later, everyone came back with their tools. With Old Hay at the front and the others at the back, they headed towards the tomb. The tomb was at the bottom of a cliff in the mountain range. This kind of cliff, if one didn't know that there was an ancient tomb down there, they wouldn't go down. It was all rocks here, and there was no grass or animals. No one would be dumb enough to go play at the bottom of the cliff. At the edge of the cliff, Old Hay's men started assembling the crane they brought, and in the blink of an eye, a small crane was assembled. My men will stay up there, but for the sake of fairness, your men can stay up there willingly. Old Hay said. The reason for this was because he didn't want Old Hay to come up and leave the others at the bottom, suffocating them to death. Kung Bro, James, and Old How all had people stay up there, but Linny said faintly, I only have 3 people, so there's no need. You'll be the last to go up. That's not a problem. Old Hay paused and nodded. He had the most people up there, so it was fair for him to be the last to go up. Of course, he didn't know that he was only saying that to confuse him. With the height of the cliff, even a golden class wouldn't have a problem jumping down, much less a mystic. When old Lin kicked Lin Yi off the cliff, he didn't fall to his death. There was no way he'd die now. The crane first sent Old Hay, Old How, James, Kung Bro, and Linny down, and then the rest of the men went down one by one. The entrance to the tomb was on the cliff, but this wasn't the real entrance. It was just a robber's hole, and the real entrance was obviously undiscovered. Old Hay, Kung Bro, James, Old How, Xiaoka, and Linny entered the robber's cave. It was a stone room that wasn't too big or too small, and they didn't know what it was used for. There was a door in front of it, but it had already been destroyed by someone. Old Hay bent down and carefully checked the small details on the door. Then he nodded. Looks like everyone is trustworthy and didn't come without permission. Of course, Kung Bro and James nodded. In this line of work, we need to be trustworthy. Chapter 1333. One person was missing. Old Hay smiled awkwardly and didn't reply. He waited for all his subordinates to arrive before walking into the tomb. Outside the room was a long corridor that connected the left and right sides. Old Hay took the left path. He didn't know much about the situation in the tomb, and the couple's work log didn't mention much about it. Bodyguard, on the other hand, had given some guesses about the traps in the tomb, but he neglected the simple safety zones when they first entered the tomb. As a result, he didn't say much as he followed Old Hay and the others into the dark tomb. Old Hay had a searchlight, but the tomb didn't have any sunlight at all, and it still looked eerie and scary. It was fine at first, but after walking for a few dozen meters, waves of cold air hit them in the face. There was an indescribable moldy and rotten smell that made their hair stand on end. Fortunately, the ground of the tomb was relatively flat and there were no obstacles. This allowed these people to walk at a very fast pace. After walking for a long time, there was a faint click sound. Then, everything turned dark. All of them were expert grave robbers. Naturally, they did not believe in demons or ghosts. However, the sudden darkness caused them to stop in their tracks. Damn, the searchlight ran out of battery? Did it just charge yesterday? Old Hay cursed at the front of the team. Who charged it yesterday? Brother Hay. I just checked it and tested the remaining battery. There's no problem. A big man said carefully. What the hell? Who has a torchlight? Give me one. Hay shook his head. The probability of the searchlight suddenly breaking down was less than 1%. He did not expect that this would be such a bad start. However, it was too late to go back and get a new searchlight. Moreover, they had only brought one searchlight this time. This thing was huge, and it was connected to a large battery. It was quite inconvenient to carry around, so they only brought one when they entered the tomb. Someone handed Old Hay a torchlight. However, the light from the torchlight was especially weak in the dark tomb. The searchlight couldn't even reach the end, let alone the light from the torchlight. However, it was better than nothing. Although he couldn't see it clearly, he could make do with it. Those at the back, hold each other's hands. Don't fall behind. Old Hay shouted to the people behind him before turning to another man. Mr. Chio, please cover the back and scatter some lime powder along the way. Don't get lost. Yes, black bro. Mr. Chio nodded and ran to the back of the group. He looked at this Mr. Chio. He was a golden class early phase peak. Who would have thought that Old Hay would have someone like that by his side? After giving the order, Blackie continued walking with the flashlight. After walking for a few hundred meters, he still couldn't see the end. Lenny frowned, but seeing that no one said anything, he didn't say anything either. After another few hundred meters, Old Hay suddenly stopped in his tracks, and the whole team came to a halt. No, we're going the wrong way. Lao Hay suddenly exclaimed and turned around. A trace of uneasiness flashed across his eyes. Something's wrong. Last time, we only walked for about 10 minutes to reach the entrance of the underground palace. This time, we walked for about half an hour. There's still a path ahead. No way. How could this be? James exclaimed. How did you lead the way? Fuck. I knew something wasn't right. Why are we taking so long? My legs are gonna go numb. Kung Bro also complained. Stop arguing. Old Hay, what's going on? Old House spoke up, interrupting them. He was the only one who hadn't been to the tomb before, so naturally he didn't feel anything wrong. Old How, I think we're going the wrong way. This path seems endless. We need to go back. Old Hay said. What us? You're the one who went the wrong way. Kung Bro complained. All right, now's not the time to push the blame away. Old Hay didn't mean it. Let's go back and talk. Old How was an experienced man. After all, he wasn't too nervous right now. That's the only way. Mr. Chio, lead the way back along the limestone line. We're going back. Old Hay said to Mr. Chio, but no one answered. Mr. Chio, did you hear me? Old Hay called again. Still no answer. Mr. Chio? Old Hay's face finally changed as he called again. Just then, a scream came from the back of the team. Old Hay subconsciously ran to the back of the group. The others also turned their gazes to the back of the group. At the back of the group, one of the subordinates was holding a broken arm, screaming in horror. There was also a bloody shirt on the severed arm, It was Mr. Chio's. Mr. Chio. Old Hay looked at the severed arm in shock, speechless. After a while, he roared, "Where's Mr. Chio? Why is there only half an arm left?" I don't know." The man holding the arm was pale as well. "You called for Mr. Chio before, and I didn't hear a reply, so I turned around to look, but I didn't see anything, and I didn't touch anything. All I have left is half an arm." The team was already a little restless because they'd gone the wrong way, and now that something like this had happened, it was even more shocking. Old Hay's face was very unsightly. If he didn't know how strong Mr. Chio was, he would have suspected that it was this man's doing. But Mr. Chio was a golden class early phase peak. What kind of master was he to be able to kill him without making a sound? Who did it? Who did it? Old Hay was a little agitated. Mr. Chio was his biggest support, and now he'd been killed without a sound. Plus, was there anyone in the team who could do this? Chapter 1334. One could see how strong the enemy was. Could it be an Earth class? There was an Earth class hiding here, and he didn't notice? Lin Yi's eyes scanned through everyone present, but he found nothing. There were a few masters in the team, but the strongest one was only a golden class late phase peak, not even a mystic. However, the strongest expert that these grave robbers could hire was only a golden rank. After all, even a mystic rank would not risk their life for them. This profession of grave robbing was too dangerous, and there was the risk of dying at any time. It was better to be a bodyguard for a rich family. Plus, a lot of mystic class masters were recruited by the noble houses, and there weren't many of them among the commoners, let alone an Earth class. However, at this moment, a person was really dead, and he didn't even know how he died. There was another possibility, which was that the killer wasn't in the team. He wasn't a member of the team, but someone hiding in the dark. After killing someone, he went into hiding. Of course, the other possibility was that there was an Earth-class physical practitioner in the group, and when he didn't show his strength, Lin Yi's golden finger wouldn't work on him. But one had to know how hard it was to become a physical Earth class. Even a noble house like Chun Tian didn't have a physical Earth class. Mr. Chio's death made everyone's faces change, especially Old Hao. He looked at Kung Bro, James, Lin Yi, and Ling Shan sharply. "Which one of you did it? What's in it for you? We're all lost. We can't go back. You're just hurting yourself and others, aren't you?" "Old Hao, that's not right. Why did we kill him?" Kung Bro wasn't happy. "Couldn't it have been that Shio guy who killed himself? Why don't you ask Old Black? Maybe he did this on purpose to frame us and take all the benefits in the tomb for himself." "Bullshit. Even if I wanted to kill myself, I wouldn't let Mr. Chio do it." Old Hay was about to explode. His master had died for no reason, and he was being suspected as well. "Mr. Chio is a golden class early phase peak master that I hire with a high price. How could I let him die like that? I have so many minions, but I want the experts to die. Am I crazy? He's already dead. Even if you say he's at the profound stage, we can't verify it." Kung Bro said coldly. "All right, let's talk about what we should do first." Old Hao waved his hand and said helplessly, "Old Hay, this path isn't right. Something's wrong. It took us 10 minutes to walk 500 or 600 meters to reach the entrance, but it's been half an hour now, and we're still not there. It's still dark. We must have gone the wrong way." Old Hay shook his head. "I was afraid that we'd gone the wrong way. That's why I asked Mr. Chio to cover us, but who knows what you're thinking? Did you deliberately go the wrong way?" Brother Kong had a bad temper. He was full of anger, so he took out on Brother Hay. "Fuck you. Say another word, Old Kong, and I'll shoot you." Old Hay was furious and sullen, pulling out his gun and pointing it at Kung Bro. "Shoot if you dare." Kung Bro scolded, knowing that Old Hao was here and that Old Hay didn't dare do anything rash. "Old Hay, don't you dare." Old Hao yelled as well. Bang! A gunshot rang out, and Old Hay really did shoot. If Old Hao hadn't said that, Old Hay wouldn't have acted so rashly. But Old How's "do you dare" made Old Hay's heart pound. Why wouldn't I dare? Fuck, I don't even know how my expert died. I'm already pissed off enough, and you're still saying that I'm acting? So what if I kill you with one shot? Old Hay was on the verge of breaking down. Kung Bro didn't even have time to scream before Old Hay shot him dead. Everyone was dumbfounded, looking at Old Hay in horror. James and his men pulled out their guns and pointed at Old Hay. He didn't want to become the second Kung Bro. Old Hay, what are you doing? Why did you kill him? Old How yelled. Lenny looked at him coolly. He didn't know if the guy was really stupid, or if he was just faking it, or was he just using his seniority? He'd provoked Old Hay so much, it would be weird if he didn't shoot. Old How, you saw it too, he wanted to die. He said if I didn't shoot, then I'd be stupid, so I had to shoot. Old Hay hemmed coldly and turned to James. Don't make a fuss, or we'll all die together. At this time, Old Hay's men all raised their guns, aiming at Kung Bro and James' men. All right, even if Old King's words are bad, there's no need to kill him. I'm here, aren't I? Old House said helplessly. Right now, the most important thing is to run for our lives, not fight amongst ourselves. Old King's men, if you want to follow us, then follow us. If you want to get revenge for Old Kung, then fight Old Hay. I won't interfere. Once we're done, we'll go back. Old King's underlings, except for the two confidants, would no longer work for him when they saw that Old Kung was dead. Thinking of this, everyone put down their guns. The two confidants suddenly attacked, but they were shot dead by Old Hay's underlings. It was obvious that Old Hay had the advantage in numbers. Getting revenge for Old Kung wasn't a smart choice. All right, let's go back, Old House said faintly, not saying anything else. The group of people still held hands and slowly walked back the way they came. This time, they didn't dare to walk as fast as when they came. They just took small steps, but they didn't go far. These people had to stop. In front of them was a fork in the road. No one remembered which fork they came from, and there were no traces of lime on the ground. Mr. Chio was obviously dead by now. What do we do? The people in front stopped and turned to ask. James opened his mouth, want to blame Old Hay. He was the one leading the way, and that was why everyone got lost. But then he remembered how Old Hay had shot Old Kung, and he shut his mouth. He was the only foreigner here, and if a fight broke out, he'd be at a disadvantage. Chapter 1335. Xiaoka frowned. There was no difference between the two passageways, and they looked the same from the outside. She really couldn't tell the difference. I can't tell either. There aren't any signs or symbols here, and there aren't any traps, either. It's just two passageways, I can't tell. Xiaoka said straightforwardly. She didn't want them to get lost because of her judgment. Old Hay, what do you think? Old Hal looked at Old Hay, a little disappointed. I don't know either. Blackie shook his head. This tomb was very strange. There were no signs at all, and he couldn't find any clues. He didn't know how the builders used it, but they probably brought a map with them every time they came. Then we'll go left. This time, we'll all sprinkle some lime powder on the ground and walk forward. I'll cover the back. There shouldn't be a problem, Old House said after a sigh. All right, I agree. Old Hay thought about it. It was a good idea, and with Old How covering the back, there wouldn't be any problems. I agree. James nodded. At this time, he had no choice but to agree. If he didn't agree, would he have to go to the right? Wouldn't that be more dangerous? All right, it's decided then. Old How nodded. You guys go left, I'll go right. Lin Yi said faintly. As they got closer to the left, the jade on Lin Yi's chest started alerting him. Evidently, there wasn't anything good here, and so Lin Yi chose the right. What? You guys aren't going with the rest? Old Hao's face darkened at Lin Yi's disagreement. He was the one who suggested going left. I want to go right. Is there a problem? Lin Yi hemphed coldly. Up to you. Let's go. Old Hao said to the others with a cold smile, pissed at Lin Yi's insensitivity. Old Hay frowned, suddenly remembering what he'd overheard yesterday. Lin Yi's words. Could it be that Lin Yi had full confidence? Otherwise, why wouldn't he go left with the rest? With that thought, Old Hay hesitated. Old Hao, let's go right. What? You trust him? Old Hao's face turned even uglier. I agree with the right. Xiaoka spoke up as well. She didn't know why, but she didn't like this Old Hao at all, so she decided to support the couple. At that moment, Lin Yi was already walking to the right, with Lingshan and Qin Yuqian following close behind. Old He hesitated, but brought his men with him. Lin Yi's confidence only increased after seeing how confident Lin Yi was. Xiaoke walked in as well, and James hesitated for a bit before following them in. Anger flashed in Old Hao's eyes. He was the one with the most authority in the group, but now no one listened to him. Even Old He, who'd invited him, listened to the couple. It pissed him off, but now that everyone was gone, he couldn't go to the left alone. He coughed and followed helplessly with his men. The right path wasn't long, and after a while, they came to another fork. Left and right again. This time, everyone was dumbfounded. Why were there two more paths? Previously, because it was behind him and the cave was pitch black, he didn't notice it. Now that he noticed it, it was already too late. How do we go? Old He looked at Lin Yi, hesitating. He didn't know if Lin Yi was confident or not. Let me take a look. Lin Yi stood near the two paths, sensing the danger within. But what Lin Yi found strange was that the jade didn't warn them. Were they both safe? Lin Yi frowned. He couldn't make up his mind. Why aren't you going? Old Hao spoke up. You're not leaving, are you? I told you to go left before, but you guys didn't listen, insisting on going right with him. Old Blackie was a bit shaken by Old Hao's words. Are you sure about this, male thief? I didn't ask you to come. You came on your own. Lin Yi said faintly, not giving Old He any hints. You can go back if you don't want to. Let's go, follow me back. We'll go left. Old Hao said. Old He and James looked at each other. They could see the hesitation in each other's eyes. Lin Yi looked at Old Hao, but continued walking to the right path. Since there was no danger, he'd just take one. There was a saying that all roads lead to Rome. They might be able to get out of here. Lingshan and Yuqian, on the other hand, trusted Lin Yi 100%, especially Yuqian. He was someone who'd survived the jungle with Lin Yi, and Lin Yi was a very strong instructor. He could easily avoid the enemy's traps in the jungle, and he had sharp senses and senses. Yuqian didn't suspect Lin Yi at all. Old He saw that Lin Yi was leaving, and after some hesitation, he followed. As far as he could see, the couple were arrogant people, but they were very careful. These two treasured their lives and wouldn't do something that would kill them. Old He followed, and so did Xiaoke. James hesitated but followed as well. Old Hao, on the other hand, had a displeased look on his face. After another 100 meters or so, Lin Yi stopped abruptly. Male thief, what's wrong now? Old He paused. There wasn't a fork in the road. Why did Lin Yi stop? Look behind you. Lin Yi turned around and said faintly. Lin Yi was more attentive this time, and noticed that there was a slight dip in the hallway when he was walking. If he wasn't mistaken, this should be the intersection of the two caves. Sure enough, there were two passageways behind them. They were exactly the same as the passageways they had seen before, and these people had come out from the right passageway. Ah, there's another tunnel. Old He said, shocked. If I'm not wrong, we'd come out from here if we went from the left. These two tunnels are connected. With that, Lin Yi didn't stop. Chapter 1336. After a while, there were 3 forks in the road. All 3 entrances were exactly the same. People without a map would have been lost by now. Lin Yi stood at the entrance of the 3 forks, testing it out before go to the right. The other 2 jade pendants reacted, especially the one in the middle. Naturally, Lin Yi went back to the one on the right. The people behind him continued to follow, and even Old Hao didn't say anything this time. After another few 100 meters, Lin Yi stopped again. There was still no exit in front of him. Old He, on the other hand, subconsciously looked back as well, but there wasn't any passageway. He didn't know what Lin Yi was doing. Your man died here, Lin Yi said faintly. Ah, Old He was stunned. He quickly shone the flashlight on the ground. With the weak light, there was indeed a pool of blood not far from the cave floor. However, if one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it at all. So that means this is the right way? We didn't go the wrong way? James said happily. Old Hao's face darkened, but he said, all roads lead to Rome. We might be able to get here from the left as well. But at this time, no one would argue with him. At this time, everyone saw the joy of success. Everyone finally walked out. But where's Mr. Chio's body? Old Hay looked around curiously, but didn't find a body. I don't know. Lin said, I have no obligation to find a body for you. If you want to look, then stay and look. No, I'll go with you. Old Hay trusted Lin completely now. Thank God he heard what Lin said yesterday. That made him trust Lin so much. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to go back alive today. This time, there were traces of lime on the ground, evidently from Mr. Chio. But he didn't see Mr. Chio's body along the way, which confirmed Lin Yi's guess. There was a master in this tomb. Of course, Mr. Chio was too far from Lin Yi, and with so many people holding hands, the line was very long, so Lin Yi didn't sense the master's aura. But if this person had gotten close, Lin Yi would have been able to sense it. This is the place. After a while, Lin Yi stopped and turned. We went the wrong way here. Everyone turned their heads after hearing Lin Yi's words. As expected, there was another cave behind them. Evidently, they had entered the wrong cave. That's right. I remember now. There was a rock blocking this entrance, and now that it's gone, I went the wrong way. I was looking for it, but I didn't know it was taken away. Old Hay slapped his forehead in realization. Who took it away? Lin Yi frowned. It seemed like he'd been dragged into a trap without realizing it, and the person behind this trap had an Earth class helping them. He'd thought that having a mystic class among the tomb robbers would be the best, but Lin Yi wasn't expecting this. But Lin Yi didn't regret coming to this tomb. Even if he knew that there was an Earth class here, Lin Yi still had to come. There were things that a man should do and shouldn't do. Lin Yi had to come for Xiao Xiao, no matter how dangerous or difficult it was. Even if the enemy was an Earth class. If you want to stop me, I'll blow you up with an energy bomb. After blowing you up, I might live, but even if you don't die, you'll be crippled. So the appearance of an Earth class gave Lin Yi some pressure, but it didn't stop Lin Yi's determination to continue exploring the tomb. Someone's been in the tomb. James also remembered the stones here and exclaimed, someone came to this ancient tomb before us. But some of the small marks that I have placed at the entrance of the old tomb have not been destroyed. Old Hay knit his brows and doubtfully said, although one can enter the old tomb without destroying those small marks if one's Qin Gong reaches a certain level. The crux of the matter is that other than me, no one else knows what those small marks are. Lin Yi snorted at Old Hay's words. Even Lin Yi could enter the tomb without breaking the markings, let alone an Earth class. He was underestimating Mystic class and above. Only the few of us know about this tomb. Who came in first? James frowned as well. The two looked at each other and suddenly shifted their gaze to Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't know how to react to the two suspecting him. He didn't know if the real couple had been here before, but he was the fake one. This was the only reason why he'd been impersonating them. Oof. If I was the one who did this, why would I bring you guys out? Are you retarded? Lin Yi smiled coldly. The two were used to Lin Yi's way of talking, but Lin Yi was right. If it was him, he wouldn't have to bring them out. But could it really be the dead Old Kung? Now that he was dead, there was no proof. That's true. It's all thanks to the male thief this time. I think it's that bastard Old Kang's doing. Old Hay Hemph, I'm going to the underground palace. Are you guys going back or following? Lin Yi didn't have time to waste with them. Lin Yi was here for the fire spirit's fruit. Nothing else mattered to Lin Yi. I think we should go back first, discuss, and come up with a plan. Old House suggested, today's been such a bad day, and 2 people died, one of whom we don't even know how he died. If we don't get to the bottom of this, it'll be weird. Oh, then you guys go back. Lin Yi said faintly. To Lin Yi, the biggest enemy in this tomb was the Earth class. Everyone else was nothing to Lin Yi. Male thief, I think Old Hao's right. Old Hay said after a sigh. Without Mr. Chio's protection, Old Hay was at a disadvantage. Evidently, he wanted to go back and find some more masters to protect him. Chapter 1337. Lin Yi didn't care if these people were following him or not, but Ling Shan looked at Lin Yi and gave him a meaningful look. Lin Yi remembered immediately that this trip to the tomb was Ling Shan and Yu Tian's mission. Their main mission was to capture these tomb robbers, and exploring the tomb was just a side mission, so these people's whereabouts were very important. Ling Shan didn't want to explore the tomb alone. She wanted to keep an eye on the robbers at all times, and if anything happened, she'd be able to call for reinforcements to surround the place. She was afraid that these people would think that the tomb was too dangerous and give up on this mission. If that were the case, it'd be a lot harder to capture them once they left. So Ling Shan suggested going back first. Lin Yi sighed. He was worried, but Xiao Xiao was already frozen in the coffin, so there shouldn't be any problems anytime soon. It didn't matter if they went back a day or a day later, since the tomb wasn't going to run away. Even if the robbers gave up, Lin Yi could still explore the tomb himself. All right, let's go back then. We'll decide after we discuss. Lin Yi nodded. Old Hao breathed out in relief, his smile widening. We should all work together, right? What if something goes wrong? The people going back were the same as when they came, riding the rope crane. Only 2 people were missing, Old Kong and Mr. Chiu. Mr. Chiu was easy to deal with, but Old Kong still had a few henchmen up there. He didn't know what Old Hay was going to do with them, or perhaps Old Hay had already informed his men to get rid of them. After the group went up, they didn't see any of Old King's men, only a few who had surrendered to Old Hay. That was how it was. When the tree falls, the monkeys scattered. Old Kong was dead, and his men would only be killed if they fought to the end. However, Lin Yi did not care about these things. Old Hay was just a tragic pawn. Although it seemed that he had taken advantage of Old Kong and absorbed his men, Lin Yi felt that he was being used. An invisible net had enveloped everyone, and an invisible ghostly hand was pushing everyone in the direction he had predicted. Lin Yi looked at them coldly, not saying anything as he walked back to the tent with Ling Shan and Yu Tian. He turned around after 2 steps, looking at Xiaoka. Be careful, it's too dangerous here. With your skills, you better go back. Xiaoka paused and wanted to say something, but Lin Yi had already left. This scene didn't attract much attention. The thief couple had a mean personality, and they were always direct with everyone they talked to. Old Hay thought that Lin Yi was mocking Xiaoka's uselessness, indirectly conveying his dissatisfaction to Old Hay. Could it be that the couple wasn't happy with the distribution? It was no wonder, after all, that Old Kong had died today, and the 15% he had was empty. Could it be that the couple was drooling over the 15%? With that thought, Old Hay's face darkened. He knew that it would be impossible to explore the tomb without Lin Yi's help. These people had almost gotten lost in there. If he didn't give Lin Yi more, Lin Yi might just leave and come back later to rob the tomb himself. Old Hay would have nothing to do then. With the couple's personality, there was no way they'd do something as unreasonable as this. Old Hay hesitated, but decided to give Lin Yi a portion of the profits if he was the one who brought it up. After all, Lin Yi was a very important person. Everyone rest for a bit, and then come to my tent later. We'll discuss our next plan. Old Hay said to the people present, Please give us some suggestions, Master Humph. Some people don't even care about an old man like me anymore. Old Hao humphed coldly as he watched Lin Yi leave. Old Hay, don't bring people who don't follow orders with us anymore. Old Hao, that's how the couple is, but they're really skilled. We can't leave them out for this tomb raid. Old Black said, a little troubled. He wasn't too happy with Old Hao, and he shouldn't have told the old man. He was just taking advantage of his seniority, and it was useless, but he was causing so much trouble. But it was easier to invite a god and then to send him away. Since this Old Hao was here, they couldn't just let him go. Old Hay could only explain, troubled. It's just luck, it's no big deal. Old Hao humphed. Lin Yi, Ling Shan, and Yu Tian went back to the tent, and the first thing Yu Tian did was check the listening device. Lin Yi waved his hand. Don't waste your energy. Old Hay wouldn't be stupid enough to do something like that again. He doesn't dare piss us off right now. Plus, there was one more thing Lin Yi didn't say. Lin Yi's jade didn't send out any alarms. This meant that the tent was safe, and there was nothing wrong. That's right. Old Hay and the others still need you to explore the tomb. But Lin Yi, how did you know which path led out? Yu Qian nodded, surprised at what Lin Yi had done today. Although he knew it before, Lin Yi's detection abilities were strong, but there were no clues in this tomb at all, and Lin Yi just walked out without any mistakes. Intuition, do you believe me? Lin Yi smiled. He didn't know how to explain his jade pendant, so he shrugged and said, "That's right." Yuqian paused, nodding. "Of course I do. Why wouldn't I?" Huh. Lin Yi smiled. "All right, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the tomb. You two need to prepare yourself. There's probably a master in this tomb raiding group." "Master? You mean the one who killed Mr. Chiu?" Ling Shan and Yu Qian weren't stupids. They understood immediately. That Mr. Chiu, is he really a golden class early phase peak? Chapter 1338. Of course, there was one more thing he didn't say. Other than poison and assassination, the person who attacked Mr. Chiu had done it in the most violent way possible. He'd killed Mr. Chiu outright, not poisoned or assassinated. Because to kill Mr. Chiu without the person in front noticing, neither assassination nor poison were possible. Either way, Mr. Chiu's body would freeze momentarily, and the person in front would notice something was wrong. They would turn around to check, and that would be a failure of his plan to kill Mr. Chiu without anyone noticing. So if he didn't want the person in front to notice, he'd have to cut off Mr. Chiu's hand and kill him at the same time. He'd have to kill Mr. Chiu before he could even react to the pain. Of course, this wouldn't count as an assassination, but a clear kill. Lin Yi didn't have the confidence to do this, but this unknown enemy had done it. Plus, Lin Yi didn't even sense this person's presence. Of course, the jade didn't warn him either. This meant that when this person killed Mr. Chiu, his target was only Mr. Chiu, and he didn't have any ill intentions towards him, Ling Shan, Yu Qian, or even Xiaoke. The jade's warning function was very interesting, and sometimes even Lin Yi didn't understand it. It was as if it could see into his heart. It only worked on friends and not enemies. And it didn't work on other people that Lin Yi treated as strangers or friends that were out of range. This was similar to the party system in some online games, which only worked on the same team members on the same map. Earth class, Ling Shan and Yu Qian were quite shocked by Lin Yi's words. They looked at each other, their mouths wide open. Isn't that a master from the legendary hidden houses and sex? Both of them were from noble houses, and they naturally knew what an Earth class represented. Even Mystic Late Phase Peak was a rare sight. I don't know about that. The world is full of strange things. From what you see, maybe Earth classes only exist in the hidden houses and sex. That's what you see on the surface. But maybe in the common world, some dark forces have masters like that in their hands, like the tomb raiding groups this time. Lin Yi said, "Yeah." Ling Shan realized. My thinking was limited, but I was limited to the obvious, and I forgot about these criminal organizations. If this Earth rank master really exists, then I don't recommend going against him. I don't have the confidence to do anything to him. It'll be even more difficult for your men to capture him. If he wants to protect someone and escape, no one can stop him. Lin Yi reminded them indifferently, so you should change your plans. Don't do it if you know it's impossible. Actually, if Lin Yi really wanted to fight this Earth class to the death, he might not lose. But Lin Yi had big business in the tomb, and as long as the Earth class didn't stop Lin Yi from finding the fruit, he could do whatever he wanted. Lin Yi didn't care. As for whether Ling Shan and Yu Qian could complete the mission, Lin Yi didn't really care. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't care, but the situation was special, and Lin Yi had to prioritize Xiao Xiao. Everything else was secondary. Ling Shan and Yu Qian smiled bitterly, silent. Of course, they knew how strong an Earth class was. Mystic class was already very strong in the common world, let alone an Earth class. If even Lin Yi said he didn't have the confidence, then he really didn't have the confidence. They didn't know which tomb robber had the ability to get an Earth class to help them. We can only play it by ear. Ling Shan sighed. I couldn't stop old He in time when he tried to kill someone today. I really didn't know what to do. Ling Shan, naturally, didn't want the suspect to die in the middle of an internal strife. If he died, it'd be hard for him to get his loot back. One dead means one less. I'll only be able to confirm which side that Earth class is on if more of them die. Lin, he said nonchalantly. Lingshan and Yu Qian were silent, thinking about it for a while before changing their plans. Lin Yi, on the other hand, called House Chu's villa. After a while, Gooden's voice came from the other side. Hello? How are you? Gooden, it's me. How's your family? Lenny didn't expect Gooden to become so polite after being here for a while. He even knew how to say you. Boss, it's you. Gooden was excited when he heard Lin Yi's voice. Everything's fine at home. I sent the 3 sisters-in-law to school this morning, and I'll pick them up at night. Don't worry, boss. I won't let anyone touch a single hair on them. I'll kill anyone who dares. All right, Lin Yi smiled. Right, how's General Wei Wu? Go to the police station later and give General Wei Wu to an officer called Lu Wangli. I'll talk to him. General Wei Wu? All right. Gooden nodded. All right, I'll send it over in a bit. What happened in the tomb today made Lin Yi think of General Wei Wu. If General Wei Wu was here, then he'd have less trouble and more confidence. After all, dogs had a sharp sense of smell, and this was also a backup plan that Lin Yi had. It would be great if he couldn't fight against that Earth rank master, but if he did, he would play with an energy bomb and kill him. Then, he would have General Wei Wu as his golden finger to repair his damaged meridians and regain his strength. Lin Yi was afraid that without General Wei Wu by his side, he'd die in the tomb. After the call with Gooden, Lin Yi told Lingshan to call Lu Wangli and arrange for him to send the dog over, while Lin Yi drove out himself. In the Xiao family's villa, Xiao Ji called Xiao Ben from the company in a hurry. In the Xiao family, Xiao Ben was the one who took care of the business, and Xiao Ji, on the other hand, was happy to be the head of the house. He didn't care about anything, just having the title of head of the house. But for Xiao Ji, this was the best way. Big brother, why did you call me back so urgently? What happened? Xiao Ben hurried home and asked as soon as he entered the door. Chapter 1339. Oh, Lenny went out? Who told you that? Is it reliable? Xiao Ben's eyes lit up. Absolutely. I saw Lin Yi leave the villa yesterday with my own eyes, and I was worried today, so I sent Xiao Wangdao and Xiao Wangba to Lin Yi's school to ask around. Lin Yi really didn't go to school. Xiao Ji said, how about this? Let's confirm it again. If Lin Yi really isn't there, then we'll make our move. Xiao Ben sighed. He didn't want to miss this opportunity. After all, he'd been wanting to make a move on Pengzhan for a long time now. Actually, brother, the 2 masters from House Pai have already healed. With their strength, even if Lin Yi was there, it wouldn't be a problem. We'll let them cripple Lin Yi. Xiao Ji said, with the 2 masters from House Pai, as long as it's not that hero, crippling Lin Yi and Li Fu would be a piece of cake. That's true. But that's only if the 2 masters from House Pai help. If they don't help, then everything would be for naught. Xiao Ben said, if they're willing to help, then we don't even need to talk to Pengzhan anymore. We'll just let them cripple Lin Yi and Li Fu, capture Meng Yao, and ask Pengzhan for money. Let's see if he'll give it to us. Brother, I think we should talk to them and tell them our intentions. Most of the profits we get will belong to House Pai. After all, as long as there's profit, they'll definitely help. Xiao Ji's thoughts were simple. There was money to be made, so why wouldn't they help? You don't say, brother, you're right. Even if we take down House Chu, most of the profits will still belong to House Pai. If they don't help, then who would? Xiao Ben slapped his thigh, feeling enlightened. Xiao Ben was always thinking in a complicated way, thinking that the 2 masters from House Pai wouldn't be controlled by the Xiao family, but he'd neglected an important point. What the Xiao family was doing right now was also benefiting House Pai. And so, Xiao Ben and Xiao Ji found 2 masters from House Pai and told them about their plan to deal with House Chu. Of course, Xiao Ben didn't forget to mention that doing this was also to earn money for House Pai. Pengzhan's business was huge, and it would be a huge deal if he were to just give some of it to Lin Yi. Of course not. Pai Yangyang nodded without hesitation. He was beaten up and sent to the hospital. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a mystic class master, his body's recovery speed was super strong, and he had House Pai's special healing medicine, he didn't know how many months he would have to stay in a hospital. However, he had nowhere to vent his anger. Now that the Chu family had a punching bag, he naturally wouldn't let them off. Mr. Pai nodded and said, "Let's take it as a warm-up exercise." "That's great. Since the two experts don't have any objections, let's hurry up and make our move tonight," Xiao Bin said. Ming Yao will be out of school tonight, and Li Fu, the golden class early phase physical practitioner, will be there to pick them up. Linny might appear as well, but it's not certain. Don't hold back when the time comes. Just injure or cripple Li Fu and Lin Yi, preferably killing them. Then capture Ming Yao, and the mission will be complete. Leave the rest to me. That's easy, no problem. Pai Yangyang nodded proudly. What level is Lin Yi at? A mystic mid-phase spiritual practitioner? Yes, a mystic mid-phase spiritual practitioner. Xiao Bin nodded. Naturally, he didn't know that Lin Yi was already a mystic mid-phase peak. A small mystic mid-phase, I can kill him with one slap. Pai Yangyang nodded. He was a typical bully. Tonight, the two of you, along with Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao, go intercept Ming Yao's car. They know which car it is. Let them point it out from afar. It's not good for us two brothers to appear there, Xiao Bin said. All right, no problem. Pai Yangyang patted his chest and promised. Wang Dao and Wang Ba were very happy that they were given such a heavy responsibility. It was quite an honor to go on a mission with two mystic class masters. And so, Xiao Wang Dao and Xiao Wang Ba immediately contacted Wu Qintian, who was closer to them. Wu bro, it's Wang Ba. Wang Ba dialed Qintian's number. Wu bro, are you free tonight? No, what's wrong? Qintian had nothing to do other than thinking about how to chase after Sun Jingyi. He hadn't been to his company many times, and it was purely for showing off. It's like this, Wu bro. Don't you hate that Linny brat? Today, two of our Xiao family's House Pai masters are planning to kidnap Ming Yao, and they might get into a fight with Li Fu and Lin Yi. My dad already told them to kill Lin Yi. Wu bro, are you interested in coming over? Wang Ba asked. Kill Lin Yi? Qintian paused. He hated Lin Yi, but he only wanted to mess with him and chase him away from Sun Jingyi. As for killing Lin Yi, that was something he never thought about. He might be arrogant and cocky, but he wasn't a sinister person. So, when he heard that Xiao family wanted to kill Lin Yi, he was shocked. But this was Xiao family's business, and they had the support of the hidden House Pai. Naturally, Qintian couldn't say anything about it. He hoped that Sun Jingyi wouldn't blame him when she found out. He was a golden class master. How could he fight a mystic late phase peak of the hidden House Pai? Even House Wu wasn't a match for them. Yeah, that Lin Yi is a mystic as well. This is a battle between masters, and it's a physical master fighting a spiritual master. Wu bro, aren't you a physical master too? Come and watch. I'm sure you'll learn something. Wang Ba said. Qintian didn't want to go at first. He was afraid that Sun Jingyi would ignore him even more after knowing the truth. But after hearing Wang Ba's words, he changed his mind. Yes, a battle between masters, especially a physical practitioner, it'd be very beneficial for him if he could observe it. Perhaps even a small movement would benefit him a lot. And so Qintian's heart started to itch again. Chapter 1340. Then it's settled. Wu bro, drive to Xiao family's villa later. We'll go together. Wang Ba said. All right, I'll definitely go. Qintian nodded. The reason why Xiao family asked Qintian to come was to show House Wu the strength of Xiao family, to let them see how strong the hidden House Pai's practitioners were. This way, through House Wu's mouth, they could let the other noble houses know that Xiao family wasn't to be messed with. How was it? Xiao Bin quickly asked after Wang Ba hung up. He has agreed to watch the battle. Xiao Wangba nodded. That's good. This time, we must make Xiao family famous. The noble house meeting is about to be held, and with House Pai's support, we'll definitely get a good position. Xiao Bin said proudly. At night, Erguden sat in Falbert's Bentley and went to Songshan's first school. Gooden sat in the front passenger seat, like a bodyguard, his eyes wide open, watching everything outside the window. This was a mission given to him by Boss Lin E, and he couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Faubert looked at Gooden's serious face, and he couldn't help but find it funny. Where did Lin E find this weirdo? Soon, Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Tang Yun came out of the school. The three of them seemed to be in a bad mood, and they weren't used to suddenly having one less person. The three got in the car, and Meng Yao nodded to Gooden as a greeting. Faubert started the car, and it slowly drove to House Chu's villa. Originally, it was a calm matter, but suddenly, a van without a license plate overtook and stopped in front of Uncle Fu's Bentley. Behind the Bentley, there was also an off-road vehicle blocking the way. The Bentley was pincered from the front and back, forcing it to be unable to move. Faubert stopped the car with a serious expression. The scene where he was stopped by Ma Zhu was still vivid in his mind. Not long after, a similar scene happened again. "Miss Chu, please stay in the car. I'll go down to take a look," Faubert said sternly. Although Faubert knew that they didn't come with good intentions, he still had to stand in front of them. This wasn't about being a bodyguard anymore. All these years, Faubert had treated Meng Yao like his own child. He wouldn't allow anyone to hurt her. However, before Faubert could get out of the car, the door of the van in front of him opened. Two people, one old and one young, wearing white training clothes, jumped out of the van. "Not good. It's a master from House Pi. I'm afraid they don't have good intentions." Faubert frowned. "Li Fu Lini, get out of the car and die." Pai Yang shouted arrogantly at the Bentley. Since the front and back of the Bentley were covered with a film, he couldn't see what was going on inside. Not far away, Xiao Wangba, Xiao Wangdao, and Chun Tian were hiding in another MPV, quietly watching the situation unfold. As expected of a mystic late-phase peak, they're so cool. Chun Tian said enviously as he looked at Pai Yang and Mr. Pai. "When will I become like this?" Chun Tian was a person who worshipped strength, but it wasn't strange. Every disciple of a noble house wanted to become stronger and stronger. "Haha, don't worry, Wu bro. After this is done, I'll have Elder Pai teach you a thing or two. You'll understand it for sure," Wang Ba said. "Oh, that's great. Thank you, Wang Ba bro," Chun Tian said happily. Chun Tian said happily. Although his grandpa was a mystic as well, he still had his limitations. If there was another mystic class physical practitioner to teach him, then Chun Tian might be able to benefit from it. "You're welcome. Let's watch the show first." Wang Ba waved his hand. Pai Yang arrogantly walked to the front of the Bentley and slapped the hood of the Bentley. Instantly, the hood caved in, and a complete palm print appeared on it. "Get out of the car, hurry up and get out, or else I'll smash your car," Pai Yang yelled. "No way. This Elder Pai's hands are this strong? That's iron hands," Chun Tian said in admiration. "I specialize in iron hands, but I can't make such a neat palm print. This won't do. I must consult him later." Of course, a mystic is different. Wang Dao couldn't help but feel proud of Chun Tian's admiring look. Before, it was always the Xiao family that admired the other noble houses, but now it was the other noble houses that admired the Xiao family. On the other side, Faubert was about to get out of the car when Gooden stopped him. "These two old bastards dared to come looking for trouble. I should have killed them with one punch." "Don't worry, I'll go down and kill them with one punch." Gooden remembered what Lenny told him, that he couldn't show mercy to his enemies. His body was a bit special, and if he gave his enemies a chance to retaliate, he'd be done for. Faubert heard Gooden's words and remembered that there was a strong person in the car. This was a practitioner that sent 2 wallet masters to the hospital. If that was the case, what did he have to be afraid of? He'd just wait for Gooden to kill them. Gooden jumped off the car, and without a word, he punched Yang chest. Bang! With a loud sound, Yang, who was acting cool, was sent flying by Gooden, crashing into a telephone pole 10 meters away. Evidently, he wouldn't be able to survive after falling to the ground, the huge hole in his chest clearly visible. Gooden had punched him through with one punch. Mr. Pai was also in a good mood. He was ready to say a few words after Pai Yang was done. He wanted to relieve the depression he had in the hospital, but before he could say anything, he saw a person get out of the Bentley. Without saying a word, the person punched Pai Yang and sent him flying away. Mr. Pai was dumbfounded. What was going on? How did Yang Yang get sent flying? Why was there such a strong practitioner in the Bentley? But when Mr. Pai's eyes landed on Gooden, he was scared out his wits. Fuck, wasn't this the warrior who called himself Grandpa Gooden? Why was he in the car? Warrior, why are you here? Mr. Pai stuttered. Chapter 1341. In truth, it wasn't that Mr. Pai didn't want to fight, but that he didn't dare. As far as he was concerned, Gooden was a super strong being, and he was already traumatized when he was with the Shao family. And just now, he killed Pai Yang with one punch. How could he fight someone like that? Therefore, apart from begging for mercy, the only thing he could do was to beg for mercy. There was nothing else he could say. Gooden kicked Mr. Pai to the ground. Speak, who sent you? Is it that old woman Go Huli? Gooden knew Go Huli from the Shao family, and the first person he thought of was her as well. Speak, or I'll stomp you to death. Mr. Pai was about to speak when he heard two cracking sounds, and pain shot up his legs. Gooden stomped down on Mr. Pai's legs, breaking them. This Mr. Pai wasn't as strong as Pai Yang, but he was more than enough to deal with Gooden. So, Gooden crippled him first, turning him into a cripple. This way, he wouldn't be a threat anymore. Speak, who sent you? Mr. Pai was about to speak when he heard another cracking sound, and pain shot up his arms again. This time, before Mr. Pai could speak, Gooden stomped on his right arms again, breaking them as well. Mr. Pai's eyes rolled back in pain as he screamed, I'll speak, don't kill me. Okay, tell me. Gooden stepped on Mr. Pai's left arm, breaking it as well. The reason for this was simple. He couldn't give Mr. Pai any chance to attack him, so he had to break his arms and legs. That way, it would be safer for him to ask questions. Mr. Pai was in so much pain that he felt wronged. He was about to speak, so why did you keep stepping on him? Did you want to kill me? Can't you let me finish what I'm saying? Not far away, the two brothers from the Shao family were shocked. Oh my God, what kind of master was this? He actually killed Pai Yang with a single punch and instantly crippled Mr. Pai's 4 limbs, not even letting him say a word? Was this a one-sided beating, or was it a question? Chen Tian, on the other hand, was excited. What kind of master was this? Wasn't he too strong? To be able to kill a mystic late-phase peak physical practitioner with one punch, what kind of skill was this? This was an absolute master. It was already amazing to see Pai Yang make a dent in the car with a slap, but now, this person punched a hole in Pai Yang's chest and killed him. It was even more amazing. I'll speak. It's the Shao family. Shao family wanted me to kidnap Meng Yao. It's not my fault. I'm just an execution. The Shao family is the mastermind. Mr. Pai said straightforwardly, without any sense of loyalty. After all, he wasn't from the Shao family, and he had no obligation to keep the Shao family secret. He was about to be killed, too, if he spoke up for the Shao family. Wouldn't he be an idiot? Oh, it's the Shao family after all. Gooden nodded and picked up Mr. Pai, throwing him at the van in front of them, using his body to smash through the metal of the van and into the car, killing him instantly. Gooden clapped his hands. Boss said that if anyone dares touch Meng Yao, I'll kill them. With that, he kicked the van in front of him to the side, clearing the path for the Bentley. Gooden was about to get in when someone ran over, kneeling on the ground with a thud. Master, please take me as your disciple. You really are a master of the physical practitioners. You have to take me as your disciple. It was Wu Qintian. Qintian saw how strong Gooden was, and he couldn't miss this chance. From what Gooden could see, this person in front of him was at least an Earth class, killing a mystic late-phase peak so effortless. What else could he be other than an Earth class? He might even be stronger. Who are you? Gooden looked at the kneeling Qintian, confused. I'm Wu Qintian, the young master of House Wu. Qintian introduced himself. I'm also a physical practitioner, but I'm only golden class early phase. Oh, piss off. I don't have time to take in disciples. I still have to be a bodyguard for my boss. Gooden waved his hand impatiently. Then you can take me in as your follower. I'll be your boss. Chen Tian rolled his eyes and went for the second best option. Follower? What can you do? Gooden wanted to reject, but thinking about it, having a follower wasn't a bad idea. He'd have someone to run errands for him. I can do anything, like something you don't want to do. I can do it for you, as long as you can teach me a move or two. Chen Tian didn't forget to state his goal. Oh, I'll think about it then. I'll have to ask my boss about this. If my boss lets me take you in as a follower, then I'll take you in, but if my boss doesn't agree, then you can go play by yourself, Gooden said. Ugh. Then who's your boss? Chen Tian paused. My boss is Lin Yi. You wouldn't know him even if I told you, Gooden said impatiently. All right, you can go back first. I'll tell you the result after I ask. Lin Yi? Chen Tian paused. Why was it Lin Yi? Wasn't this his rival in love? But then he remembered that Gooden got off from Meng Yao's car, and Lin Yi was Meng Yao's bodyguard, so it made sense that Lin Yi got his follower to protect Meng Yao. But Chen Tian felt very conflicted. Lin Yi was this guy's boss? Didn't that mean that Lin Yi was stronger than him? And if he took Gooden as his boss, then Lin Yi would be his boss. Would there still be any hope for him and Sun Jingyi? Wouldn't that mean he was fighting with his boss for a woman? That was clearly impossible. And if he took Gooden as his boss, then he'd have to give up on Sun Jingyi. With that thought, Chen Tian started to feel conflicted. But the temptation of increasing his strength made him reluctant to give it up. The opportunity was right in front of him, and it was gone in a blink of an eye. If he missed it, he'd never get another chance. Chapter 1342. Why would a man worry about not having a wife? With that thought, Chen Tian gritted his teeth and made a decision. I know Lin Yi. Can you tell him that I won't be his follower? It was hard for Chen Tian to give up his feelings for Jingyi, but since he'd made the decision, he had to give it up. His feelings for Jingyi weren't just for the sake of his family's benefits. He really did have feelings for her. It was just that she didn't like him, that was all. Oh, you know my boss? All right, I'll ask him when he comes back. You wait at home. Gooden made sure that this Chen Tian didn't have any intentions of attacking him before leaving. All right, boss. I'll wait for the good news at home. Chen Tian said quickly. Boss, what's your name? What should I call you? I'm Gooden, Gooden said and got in the car. All right, Gooden bro. I'll go back first. Chen Tian nodded and bowed. The Bentley left slowly. The scene here would be taken care of by the Shao family, and Faubert didn't need to worry about the police coming. Chen Tian looked at the huge hole Gooden made with Mr. Pai and exclaimed, That's amazing. If I could learn even half of it, I'd be amazing. As for what Shao family would think, Chen Tian didn't care anymore. With such a powerful boss looking after him, he didn't care about Shao family or not. The Pai masters were all dead, so what did Shao family have? In fact, Wang Ji and Wang Ba really didn't have time to care about Chen Tian. 2 Pai masters died just like that, and they were already in a mess. These 2 were idiots, and it wasn't a problem for them to act cool, but for them to deal with emergencies, it was a bit difficult. Xiao Wangba took out his phone with trembling hands and dialed his father Xiao Ji's number. Hello, Wangba, how's it going? Is it going well? Xiao Ji was sitting in the Xiao family villa, waiting for good news. He's dead. Dad, he's dead. Xiao Wangba stuttered. What do you mean dead? Are Lin Yi and Li Fu both dead? Xiao Ji laughed and said, Look at you, you haven't seen anything big at all. Isn't it just 2 deaths? What's the big deal? If he's dead, so be it. No, Dad, it's a master from House Pai. House Pai's master is dead. Wangba gasped for breath. What? 2 masters from House Pai are dead? Xiao Ji paused and said in disbelief. Wangba, what did you say? Are you talking nonsense? How did the 2 masters from House Pai die? Pai Yangyang is a mystic late-phase peak. How did he die? Dad, they were killed by some master called Gooden. Wangba heard Gooden's words, so he knew his name. He wasn't there when Gooden punched the leather master, so he didn't know that this Gooden was the warrior from back then. What? Gooden? Xiao Ji sucked in a cold breath. What? Why is he here? Why did he kill the masters from House Pai? He was sitting in Meng Yao's car, and he called himself Lin Yi's follower. Wangba was confused. Dad, Who is this heir Gooden? Do you know him? Of course I do. Xiao Ji said, back then, he was the one who sent the two masters from House Pai to the hospital. How did he become Lin Yi's follower? Oh my god, it's over. House Xiao is finished, completely finished. Xiao Ji was stunned after hearing his son's words. There was a warrior like heir Gooden involved in this. No wonder all the masters from House Pai died. How could they not die after meeting this warrior? If they knew this, they wouldn't even bother with House Chu. Wouldn't that be suicide? That's strong? No wonder the two masters from House Pai died with one punch. Wamba said, Dad, what do we do now? What else can we do? Just wait for House Pai to blame us. Xiao Ji was speechless. How the fuck did you find out before? Why didn't you say that this warrior was in Lin Yi's house as well? I don't know him. I didn't know he was this strong. Wamba said, feeling wronged. House Xiao was in complete chaos now. Xiao Ji told Xiao Ben what Wamba said, and Xiao Ben was dumbfounded as well. House Xiao was in big trouble this time. Not only did they offend the warrior, but they didn't know if House Pai would blame the Xiao family for this. If House Pai could send someone stronger, then House Xiao still had hope, but if not, then House Xiao would really be done for. Big brother, we can't hide this even if we wanted to. Why don't we call House Pai and tell them the truth? Xiao Ben sighed. We can only push the blame onto the two masters from House Pai to avoid this. That's right. This way, we can say that the masters from House Pai were after House Chu's property and went to kidnap them, but they killed them. Xiao Ji nodded. Dead men tell no tales anyway. Even if they suspect us, it's useless. Yes, not only that, we have to pretend to be the victims and say that the two masters dragged Xiao family into this. To prevent House Chu from taking revenge, we have to ask House Pai to send someone stronger to protect us, Xiao Ben continued. Haha, us brothers are really genius. We solve a huge crisis just by talking and laughing. Xiao Ji was very happy. All of a sudden, all the hatred and danger was pushed on a House Pai, and Xiao family became the victims. Haha, brothers of one mind. We can break metal. Xiao Ben said proudly. It's rare to see brothers like us getting along so well in a noble house. That's right. I'm the head of the house, and I'm a magnanimous person. I don't make decisions on my own. Xiao Ji nodded. With House Xiao covering up the deaths of the two masters from House Pai, this matter passed peacefully, not even causing a ripple. The bodies of the two masters from House Pai were carried to House Xiao's villa, waiting for the people from House Pai to come pick them up and discuss what to do next. On the phone, the people from House Pai heard the news, but didn't say much. They only said that they'd send someone to talk about it. Evidently, House Pai was afraid of Gooden, who could kill a mystic late phase peak with one punch. Chapter 1343. After putting down the phone, Pai Jishan's face was very serious. He didn't say much to Xiao Ji, but he immediately reported the news to his father, the current head of House Pai. His grandfather, the old ancestor of House Pai, was in isolation, and there was no need to alert him. After hearing his son's report, the head of House Pai, Pai Jiaka's face darkened. How could there be an Earth class in the common world? Didn't the council forbid the Earth class from the hidden houses and sects from entering the common world? Without the council's permission, there will be severe punishment. Father, this is what I'm worried about as well. Do you think it's someone from the ancient sects? Jishan said hesitantly. Hard to say. Jiaka's face turned even more cautious. If it's someone from there, then even the council wouldn't dare interfere. Then Jishan asked carefully. Before we find out where Hero Gooden came from, let's not act rashly for now. Pai Jiaka waved his hand. Recently we, House Pai, have moved into Songshan, and I've done some research on Songshan's area of influence. It said that the hidden house Zhao's bastard, Zhao Qibing, was crippled by Gooden's boss, Lin Yi. He's still in a wheelchair now. You have to know that House Zhao is the same as us. They're a hidden house as well. Yet they were able to hide for so long without doing anything. This means that there's something strange about the power behind Lin Yi. Yeah, I didn't think that Pai Yang would be so impulsive, making a move on House Chu. Now, we're in trouble. Zhishan sighed. It's my fault for not reminding them. I've just investigated the power distribution in Songshan, and I didn't have time to tell Xiao family before they made their move. Pai Jiaka said, we've suffered a loss this time. We can't act rashly. We can only observe for now. Right, Father, I heard that Jin Wudi is coming out of seclusion, and he's already gotten permission from the council to enter the common world. And his enemy is this Gooden Master's boss, Linny? Zhishan said. Why didn't I think of that? This is great. Having an Earth class like Jin Wudi to test Lin Yi's strength isn't bad at all. Hearing this, Pai Jiaka immediately said happily, when the time comes, we'll see what the situation is like and plan our next step. Yes, we can reap the rewards now. Zhishan nodded. On the other side, Gooden was sitting in the car like nothing had happened, his eyes wide open. Oh, Brother Gooden, you're so powerful. You killed Itchy Skin with one punch. Yushu praised, but you're still a little lacking compared to Shield Bro, and Shield Bro is more handsome than you. Oh, of course Boss is stronger than me. Gooden nodded matter-of-factly. Yushu didn't find it interesting at all. This guy really knew his place, but it was pointless. Man, he's not as good as Shield Bro. This bodyguard is too weak. Yushu shook her head. Shield, yep, yelled Sad back. Y-Shu. Mean Shield Y-Shu Y-He said. Y-Easy Shan Shu Canny. Don't worry. She's telling the truth. Gooden nodded. Mingyao didn't know what to say. This guy was too honest. General Weiwu was sent to a small town by Lu Wangli's men, and Lin Yi went to pick him up personally. He didn't let Lu Wangli's men get close to the tomb. Lin Yi wasn't sure which side the master was from yet, and Lin Yi didn't want to cause any problems. No one was surprised by Lin Yi's action of bringing a dog. Using a dog's sense of smell was a very common method of tomb raiding, but it was too troublesome to train a dog, and modern technology had gradually replaced it over the years. At night, the people in charge of each group appeared in Old Hei's tent. Other than Old Kung, who was killed, everyone else was here. Xiaoka couldn't help but look at Lin Yi a few more times. Lin Yi's words made her feel weird. She felt that Lin Yi looked familiar. Could it be that she'd met Lin Yi before? Otherwise, why would he be so kind as to remind her to be careful? She knew that this was a dangerous trip, but thinking about the orphanage and the high reward she could get, she decided to stay. Since everyone's here, let's discuss tomorrow's tomb exploration. I don't know who did this today, but I don't want this to happen again tomorrow. I've invited a master to help us. If you're not afraid of death, then go ahead. Old Hei's face was very serious. The first thing he said was a threat. He couldn't be blamed for doing this. He'd lost a master today, and the others didn't lose anything. This pissed Old Hei off, and the worst part was that he still didn't know who did it. He discussed with Old Hao for a long time about who was the most likely culprit, but the conclusion was that other than the dead Old Kong, the others weren't suspicious. In our country, cyborgs and superhumans are controlled by specialized organizations. It's impossible to hire them even if we wanted to. James shrugged, expressing his innocence. You've seen it yourself. My people use modern weapons to kill people. Indeed, out of everyone's firearms, James was the most advanced. The others used normal pistols and submachine guns from the black market. I'm here to hold the line, not cause trouble. Old House said faintly, there's only the three of us. Lin Yi smiled coldly. Aren't we here to discuss business? Are you done yet? If you're not going to discuss, then I'll leave first. You guys continue to suspect. Thief couple, what's the meaning of this? This is a group action. If you're not guilty, then why are you getting all worked up? Old Hal looked at Lin Yi and smiled coldly. Since you don't believe me, then we'll split up tomorrow. Lin Yi said faintly. That. Old Hei was in a difficult position. Old Hal, male thief, let's talk less. We'll discuss tomorrow's plan. Chapter 1344. You guys can do whatever you want, but there's only three of us, and we have to stick together. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. Lin Yi stood up and left the tent, not giving them any face at all. Old Hay could only smile bitterly, while Old Hao's eyes sharpened. This male thief really didn't know what was good for him. The night in the mountain was quiet. There were no plants here, only rocks. There weren't many animals here, either. It wasn't much during the day, but it was deathly silent at night. Yu Qian and Ling Shan were resting, and Lin Yi was sitting cross-legged, training hard. General Wei Wu was beside Lin Yi, not sure if it was asleep or not. All of a sudden, Lin Yi opened his eyes, and General Wei Wu raised its head as well. "Don't go out. Hide in the tent and wait for me." Lin Yi patted General Wei Wu. This was Lin Yi's trump card, and he couldn't let it join the fight. The next moment, Lin Yi walked out of the tent without notifying Yu Qian and Ling Shan. They were too weak, and they wouldn't be of much help. Lin Yi would be afraid. "Since you're here, stop hiding. Come out," Lin Yi said faintly to the empty space in front of the tent. There was no sound. "I don't need to pull you out, do I?" Lin Yi smiled faintly. "The color of your body is different from the rocks on the ground." As soon as Lin Yi finished, someone stood up from the ground not far away. "Not bad, kid. You have good eyes. Since that's the case, you should know why I'm here, right? Did you kill that Mr. Chiu today?" Lin Yi didn't answer the question. "There's no harm in telling you. I was the one who killed him. However, I've come here to kill you." The man who called himself this old man laughed and spoke in a very arrogant manner. "There are many people who want to kill me." Lin Yi smiled. "Why are you here? Before you die, I will tell you." After the man finished speaking, he charged towards Lin Yi. A huge amount of true qi revolved around his body, allowing Lin Yi to see this person's cultivation for the first time, as expected of an Earth class master. Although he was only at the early phase of Earth class, the gap between him and Lin Yi was not small. Early Earth class? Lin Yi took a deep breath, not daring to be careless. This was an Earth rank master, different from the ones he had faced before. Lin Yi had never fought against an opponent who was much stronger than him, so he had to be cautious. "You have good eyesight. To be able to die by this old man's hand, it's a worthy death." The Earth rank expert laughed heartily. In a tent not far away, there were two people sitting. Both of them had an anxious expression on their faces. "Lil Lung, why do you think this Mr. Yu is helping me? What's in this tomb that they're interested in?" The man who looked like the owner of the tent frowned. "Boss, House Yu's a big family. If they're interested in something in this tomb, it must be something important." "But didn't they say that they'll only take one item? They don't want the rest. They'll all belong to us," Lil Lung said carefully. "Yeah, let's hope so. After this, I'll probably be wanted by the Thieves Association. After doing something like this, I won't have the face to stay in the Thieves Association anymore." The owner sighed helplessly. "It's all my fault for being greedy. It's too late to turn back now. House Yu isn't easy to talk to. If I go back on my word, they'll probably kill me without a second thought." "Boss, we're just working with House Yu. If this goes well, the treasures in this tomb will be enough for you to live your life in the future. You'll be able to retire and start a proper business," Lil Lung said, "and with House Yu's support, it'll be even better than now." "That's true. We can only hope for the best now. I wonder if that Lenny kid is dead yet, that bastard," the owner said hatefully. "If it weren't for him, this would have been a success." "Yeah, but with Mr. Yu's help, that kid won't live to see tomorrow's sun." Lil Lung nodded. Lin Yi didn't dare face Mr. Yu's attack head-on. Lin Yi wasn't looking to die yet, so he could only dodge the attack with his speed. "Huh, kid, you got some skills." Mr. Yu didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. When he killed Mr. Chiu, he didn't feel any pressure at all. Someone at Mr. Yu's level would always look down on people who were weaker than him. And so, when Lin Yi dodged his attack, Mr. Yu gasped in shock. Lin Yi didn't say anything, waiting for the opportunity. There was no chance of luck against an Earth class like this. He had to hit him in one hit. Otherwise, if he didn't kill him, he'd die first. But even so, Mr. Yu didn't take Lin Yi seriously. He was still toying with him like he was a low-leveled fighter. His attacks were arrogant as well, as if killing Lin Yi was a great honor. Lin Yi dodged again, but Mr. Yu's pure chi hit his right cheek, and Lin Yi's face turned red and swollen. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. This was only a small amount of pure qi, and if Mr. Yu had hit him with a single punch, he'd be dead, or, at the very least, on the verge of death. Kid, you're too weak. Don't dodge. I can kill you easily. Mr. Yu laughed when he saw Lin Yi's swollen right cheek. How is it? Does it hurt? Oomph. Lin Yi hemphed coldly and didn't say anything, but he was getting more and more shocked. It seemed like he had to use the energy bomb sooner. Earth class was much harder to deal with than he'd imagined. Most of the people he'd faced before were on the same level as him. Even those who were stronger than Lin Yi were on the same level. But now, he'd lost an entire level. Lin Yi made a quick decision and activated the art of Dragon Mastery, compressing the pure qi in his body. Although Lin Yi had the Jade Space, Lin Yi didn't dare enter the Jade Space to get energy when he was fighting an enemy. So he could only compress it with his own energy. Seeing that Lin Yi didn't run and only stared at him coldly, Mr. Yu felt that it was pointless. He wanted to let Lin Yi run first and then kill him from behind. That would be more satisfying, but this kid in front of him didn't seem to care. Chapter 1345. Earth class was a huge leap in strength, and in the eyes of an Earth class, Mystic and Golden class were like ants. Once one entered Earth class, it was a completely different story. This was also why only hidden houses and sects had Earth class masters. And the reason why Earth class masters were forbidden from entering the world was because they were too dangerous. This was a dividing line, and entering Earth class meant entering the camp of Sky class. There was a chance that one could become a Sky class. After reaching Sky class, one's lifespan would lengthen, and this was the dream of all Earth class masters. As for higher levels, they didn't even dare think about it, because there had been people who tried to reach that level before, but there was no news of them anymore. You sure you can kill me in one move? Lin Yi was panicking. He was only halfway through the compression, and this Mr. Yu was getting impatient already, preparing to kill him in one move. This made Lin Yi panic. But on the surface, he was stalling for time. What joke, if I could use half a move, you'd still be dead. Lin Yi's questioning made Mr. Yu feel like he was being insulted, and he was enraged. Is that so? Then why didn't you kill me after using so many moves? Lin Yi said slowly, but his heart was urging it to hurry up. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, it's almost done. If Yushu and Xiao Xiao heard Lin Yi's thoughts, they'd probably misunderstand. Miss Pan and Tang Yun were purer, so they wouldn't think too much about it. I was just messing with you. Couldn't you tell? Mr. Yu was about to explode. What kind of eyesight did this kid have? Couldn't he tell when he was messing with him? Did he think he was only at this level? I really didn't see it. Lin Yi nodded solemnly, thinking that it was true. Wow, I'm so pissed off, Doc. Mr. Yu swung his fist at Lin Yi, evidently using 10% of his strength. He wanted to finish off Lin Yi in one hit. Lin Yi sighed inwardly. In the end, he was still a little short and couldn't complete the energy compression. He was already stalling for time, but this old man didn't give him a chance. Die! Lin Yi threw out the energy bomb the moment Mr. Yu charged at him and quickly retreated. Lin Yi didn't hope to kill Mr. Yu with this move, because even 100% compressed energy bomb might not be able to kill an Earth class, let alone an incomplete version. The explosion was loud enough to wake everyone up. Lin Yi didn't believe that Mr. Yu would continue the fight once everyone woke up. If he really wanted to expose himself, there was no need for him to hide. He could have killed everyone in the tomb during the day. This was not a difficult task for an Earth-ranked master. Lin Yi guessed that the reason why he didn't do so was that he wanted to use these people as cannon fodder in the ancient tomb. Boom, dash. The energy bomb exploded right in front of Mr. Yu, turning his right arm into a bloody mess. But from Lin Yi's perspective, it was just an injury, and he'd be able to use his right arm after some rest. It didn't cause any more damage than that. But even so, Lin Yi was satisfied. After the explosion, he quickly retreated into his tent, thinking that this Mr. Yu would hide as well. After all, the earth-shattering sound just now was not as loud as the complete version of the energy bomb that Lin Yi used against Maju. However, it was still earth-shattering. In this quiet valley, only a deaf person would not be able to hear it. Mr. Yu's arm was injured for no reason, and he was furious. "Why are you rat? How dare you ambush me? What kind of dirty trick are you using?" Mr. Yu had never heard of an energy chi bomb before, so he thought that Lin Yi used some kind of modern weapon like a grenade. But a mystic with chi protection wouldn't get hurt so easily. And he was an Earth class. How could he get hurt by a grenade? How was this possible? Mr. Yu was confused, but he knew that Lin Yi's loud noise had woken everyone up. He could only endure the pain and hide, wondering if Lin Yi had used something like nitroglycerin or something. At such a close distance, even with his true chi protection, he was blown to such a state. Even if he dodged to the back, he would still be heavily injured, right? With that thought, Mr. Yu calmed down a little. He took out a bottle of medicine from his pocket and sprinkled it on his arm. Mr. Yu was right. Even if Lin Yi dodged to the back with experience, and the energy bomb wasn't the complete version, Lin Yi was still injured. But Lin Yi endured the pain and went back to the tent. Only after entering the tent did Lin Yi's face turn red, and he spat out a mouthful of blood on the ground. His face was a little pale as he sat down on the ground and went into the jade space. Ling Shan and Yu Qian, on the other hand, were woken up by the explosion. They were just about to see what was going on when they saw Lin Yi spitting out blood and sitting down on the ground. They wanted to ask what was wrong with Lin Yi, but they didn't dare disturb him right now. They could only wait anxiously on the side. Not long after, footsteps came from outside the tent, followed by a voice. "Husband and wife thief, please come to Hey Bro's tent for a chat." Ling Shan and Yu Qian looked at each other, and Yu Qian walked out of the tent directly, glaring at the person who was talking. "What are you shouting for? Master's doing some private stuff right now, wait." The underling who came to look for the thief, Old Hay, froze after hearing Chen Yutian's words. Was he doing something private? What did he mean? But after thinking about it, he understood. The husband and wife thief couldn't be doing something in the middle of the night, could they? It was possible just thinking about it. No wonder this idiot was guarding the door. With that thought, the man said, "Didn't you guys hear the explosion?" "I heard it, but I don't know if the master heard it or not." "They're still inside," Yu Tian said faintly. Chapter 1346. We can go if we want. We don't need you to say anything." Chen Yuqian humphed coldly. "What the hell is this?" Hey Bro's underling shook his head and left helplessly. It was one thing for this couple to have a bad temper, but their underlings were the same. What was there to be proud of? Mr. Yu quickly bandaged his arm and disappeared into a tent in the night. "Elder Yu, you're back." Your arm. What's this?" The people in the tent were happy to see Elder Yu come back, but they were shocked when they saw the bandage on his right arm and the bloodstains on his body. "That young thief tricked us, and I underestimated his strength. He's actually a mystic." Elder Yu humphed coldly. "Didn't you say that he doesn't know martial arts?" The people in the tent had an ugly expression on their faces. "Elder Yu, I really didn't know that the male thief was a master, and I didn't know that he was a mystic. He never showed his strength in front of us before. I didn't know either. This young man played dirty, using explosives to blow me up. If I wasn't Earth class, I would have lost my arm. But this kid was so close to the explosives when he blew me up, he's not much better off. If we don't treat him in time, he'll probably die." Elder Yu humphed. "I said that we'd kill all these kids and leave after we get the items, but you didn't agree." "Calm down, Elder Yu. I had no choice. You know, you're a master of the hidden house, Yu. And even if others knew that you killed these people, it wouldn't matter. No one would dare say anything to you. But I'm different. If the entire thief sect were to point their spear at me, I wouldn't be able to take it." The one who spoke was the person called Boss. "So what? House Yu will protect you and do some business. Let's see who dares touch you then." Elder Yu humphed in disdain. "Of course, but as the saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry." The boss thought to himself, although it sounded nice, what would he do if he didn't care about me? Besides, you can protect me for a while, but you can't protect me forever. It's easy to dodge a spear in the open, but hard to guard against a stab in the dark. If you can't take care of it, won't I be in trouble? I don't care. My patience is limited. If I can't take care of these people tomorrow, I'll do it in the open. Elder, you said impatiently. Okay, I'll try my best. The boss sighed and nodded. Boss, shall we go over? I think most of the people are already here. Xiao Lung reminded him. The boss nodded and left the tent. In Old Black's main tent, everyone was already present. Old Black also brought one of his trusted subordinates in. Looking at everyone present, only the thief couple wasn't present. Old Hey, what the fuck are you talking about? You made all of us come, but you're the last to arrive? Even Old How came earlier than you? James said unhappily. He was sleeping soundly when he was woken up and dragged to Blackie's tent for a meeting. Naturally, he was unhappy. Should I send someone to inform everyone one by one? That's why we've been delayed. Old Hay smiled. All right, Old Hay, it's late. What's the matter? Old How waved his hand, gesturing for everyone to stop arguing. There's a sudden explosion just now, and according to my subordinates, there seemed to be fighting nearby. Did you guys hear it? Old Hay nodded and got straight to the point. I heard it. What was that sound? Did someone use explosives? Old How nodded. I think so too. Moreover, there were traces of blood not far from the thief couple's tent. Old Hay said with a serious expression, and the thief couple didn't come here. I suspect that this matter has something to do with the thief couple. That's all right. Now that everyone's here except the couple, I suggest that we all go to their tent and see what they're up to. Old How nodded in agreement. I've always felt that there's something wrong with this couple. James, naturally, didn't have an objection. There were only 3 groups in the tent, and the organizer and the respected Old How had both agreed. What else could he say? He nodded. I have no objections. You mean there's something wrong with me, old thing? Suddenly, a voice came from outside the tent. The couple pushed the door open and stared coldly at Old How and everyone else. Male thief, aren't you? Old How paused when he saw that Lin. He didn't seem to be hurt at all. What about me? Old How. Lin, he looked at Old How with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. Are you confused that I'm not dead or injured? How? How should I know? What does that have to do with me? Old How's face darkened. Didn't that old thing with his crippled hand tell you? Tell me that I'm injured as well and might die? Lin, he asked faintly. What were you talking about? I don't understand. Old How's face grew even uglier. You don't understand? Then I'll say it for you. Before that old thing killed me, he already told me that you sent him to kill me. But he was too arrogant and didn't kill me. I even found out about it. Lenny looked at Old How mockingly, word for word. You. Bullshit. Old Hey, this kid is a spy. Everything happened today. Because of him. Let's kill him together. With that, Old How reached for his gun, but Old Hey pulled it out first, pointing it at his head. It's you, it's you. You killed Mr. Chio, didn't you? Old Hey, don't misunderstand. Don't listen to the thief's bullshit. What does this have to do with me? Old How jumped, cold sweat forming on his forehead. Old Hey, why are you so impulsive? You invited me here to hold the fort. Why would I kill someone? Yesterday, when I insisted on going right, you insisted on going left. Now that I'm on the right path, you insist on going left. What are you planning? Lin, he asked coldly. I didn't know you were on the right path. Wasn't there a fork? That's why I said to go left. Old How explained. Chapter 1347. I thought going back was the right thing to do. Old How said in a low voice. What's wrong with that? From my experience, going left is the safest way. It's for everyone's good. Oh, you're that sure? Then we all went right. You could have gone left. Why didn't you? Lenny asked. Well, I thought we'd move together, so I went with you guys. Old How said. Old How, I really admire you. You're willing to sacrifice yourself to the point where you're not afraid of death. If you think it's dangerous for me to go this way, then go back and go left is the way out, and yet you're still following me to the right? What do you want me to say? You're from a suicide squad, aren't you? Lin E smiled coldly. You really dare to die? I I've already given up on life and death. Old Howe tried to defend himself. Huh. Very well. If that's the case, then you can die now. You've given up on life and death anyways, so it doesn't matter if you die. Lenny said faintly, Shoot, Old Hay. Your Mr. Chio was killed by him. I've been suspecting him since yesterday, and after what he asked me, I'm sure he's the one behind all this. Is that so? Did you get someone to kill Mr. Chio? Old Hay's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Old Howe. He'd trusted him so much, letting him take control of the situation, but now he'd let the wolf into the house. Old Hay, calm down. Why are you listening to him? I'll say he's the mastermind. You guys don't know, do you? This kid is actually a mystic class. Think about it. A mystic killing a golden class is just a matter of minutes. Old Howe was getting a little hurried. This Old Hay wasn't a reasonable man. He was an impulsive person, otherwise he wouldn't have pulled out his gun and shot Old Kong yesterday. You're a mystic class? Old Hay paused, looking at Lin suspiciously. I say, Old Howe, aren't you a little too strong? I've been hiding the fact that I'm a mystic class master. I've never told anyone about it. Only the Earth class master who fought with me just now knows about my strength. How did you find out so quickly? Are you a clairvoyant or a diviner? Lenny looked at Old Howe mockingly. Old Howe's eyes went wide, his face ashen as he realized he had said the wrong thing. Yeah, the male thief never said he was a mystic and no one knew about it. Not even his peers in the Steel sect knew about it. So how did Old Howe know? Fuck. Blackie did not hesitate at all and pulled the trigger. With a bang, a bloody hole appeared in Old Howe's head. To these grave robbers, killing a person was as simple as eating a meal. If they died, so be it. Lingshan's mouth twitched. She really wanted to stop Old Hay from shooting, but she had no reason to. If she revealed her identity now, everything would be wasted. Not only would she not be able to bring these people to justice, but she, Lin Yi, and Yu Qian would all be in danger. Lin Yi had gotten some rest after coughing up blood before standing up. I'm heavily injured. Don't act rashly. Lin Yi endured the pain and brought Lingshan and Yu Qian to Old Hay's tent, afraid that Old Hay would suspect him. Lin Yi had quickly entered the jade space and started healing his wounds, but recovering his strength wasn't something that could be done in a short amount of time. That was why Lin Yi told Lingshan and Yu Qian that. Lin Yi was just trying to scare Old Howe and the others. Lin Yi's strength wasn't even at the level of a golden class. James shrugged, a smile that was uglier than a crying face. The traitor's been taken care of, and the rest are innocent. Let's talk about tomorrow's tomb robbery. Thank you, Mr. Thief. Old Hay put away his gun and bowed to Lin Yi solemnly. Mr. Chio is my bodyguard, but I owe him a debt of gratitude. Now that he's avenged, it's all thanks to you, Mr. Thief. But grave robbers were grave robbers. They might say thank you, but they didn't want to give anything in return. These people were greedy, and so Lin Yi didn't put the gratitude to heart. He only waved his hand and sat down with a serious face. Ha, that trash is dead. This old man doesn't have to hide anymore. Since Lil Howe's dead, I might as well work with you guys. At that moment, a burst of laughter came from the entrance of the tent, and the next moment, an old man walked in uninvited. Old Hay's face changed when he heard the laughter. This must be the Earth class behind Old Howe. He'd been too impulsive before, and he'd forgotten about this. Now that he was here, he was a little scared. This was an Earth class. To mortals like them, he was like a mountain. You don't deserve to know my name. You can call me Elder Yu. The old man turned to Lin Yi, surprised. Kid, you surprised me. You're not hurt? Oomph. Lin Yi humphed coldly. You're not dead either, are you? Yes, your little tricks are nothing in front of me. You want to kill me with explosives? Try a missile next time. Elder Yu said faintly. But Lil Howe's dead. I see that you're good at tomb raiding, so I won't touch you for now. Let's talk about working together. Mr. Chio, did you kill him? Old Hay came back to his senses. So what if I did? Could it be that you want revenge for him? Elder Yu smiled darkly as he looked at Old Hay. I wouldn't dare. Old Hay wasn't an idiot. He could kill Old Howe with one shot. But an Earth class? Even the explosives couldn't kill him. What use was a gun? Plus, this old man didn't seem to be with Old Howe, right? From what he said, He was just working with Old Howe, and now that Old Howe is dead, he wanted to work with the people here. I know you wouldn't dare. Elder, you said, pleased. But I don't know this Cho guy. Blame Lil Howe. He told me to kill him. Yes, I've killed Old Howe. Old Hay was a smart man, and he said respectfully, how would you like to work together, Elder? Chapter 1348. Oh, Old Hay paused. He didn't think that Elder Yu's condition would be this simple. He just needed to take one thing and leave the rest. He'd be an idiot if he didn't agree. What do you want? James asked. Since Elder Yu had already made his stance clear, and they were working together, they didn't have to worry about him attacking them. Don't worry about that. Elder Yu said faintly. Just say yes or no. My patience is limited. All right. Old Hay smiled bitterly. Did they have a choice? If they didn't agree, they'd all die here, right? They were Earth class. There was no way they could fight back. All right, it's settled then. Elder Yu nodded. You guys are more obvious than that little Housie. Don't try to hide things. Did I promise you? At this time, Lin Yi suddenly interrupted. Old Hay and James paused. Brat, do you want to die? Elder Yu heard Lin Yi's words and felt humiliated. He turned to glare at Lin. Don't think I don't dare kill you. You can't kill me. I'll just use another chi bomb and blow you up. Lin Yi said faintly. Chi bomb? Elder Yu paused. You used a chi bomb just now, not explosives? Are you retarded? You bring explosives with you? Lin Yi curled his lips. I didn't think that, brat. You have some skills. Elder Yu frowned. I don't think you can use it again. You could try. Lin Yi said nonchalantly. What's the point of all this bullshit? What do you want? Elder Yu had been bombed by Lin Yi before, and he was still a little afraid of that chi bomb. He didn't dare to try it. As far as Elder Yu was concerned, he was like a piece of porcelain, and these tomb robbers were crazy. Who knew if they would do something like that? Elder Yu didn't dare to try it again. Tell me, what do you want? Lin Yi asked. Elder Yu's face changed slightly, a little sullen, but after a moment of silence, he said, it said that Zhang Liju's medical skills were amazing, and he had made chi-gathering pills for practitioners before. In his grave, there's a high chance that there's a completed chi-gathering pill. Chi-gathering pill? Lin Yi paused. He seemed to have heard of this name before, from a certain legendary record, but he didn't have much of an impression of it. He only remembered that it seemed to be beneficial to practitioners. If there is, I'll take it. If there isn't, I don't want anything. Elder Yu said. This chi-gathering pill, what does it do? Lin Yi asked. It's fine to tell you. It can help an Earth-class late-phase peak break through their bottleneck and step into Sky-class. Elder Yu said. Even if you get it, it's useless. Wadash, even Old Hay and James, who weren't practitioners, had a shocked expression on their faces. It could help an Earth-class late-phase peak break through their bottleneck and step into Sky-class. What kind of powerful medicine was this? If this pill was put on the market, it wouldn't be surprising if it was sold at sky-high price. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it was a priceless treasure. He believed that those hidden families and sects would break their heads to get their hands on this pill. No matter the price they had to pay, they had to get their hands on it. One could say that all the antiques in an ancient tomb weren't as valuable as this chi-gathering pill. But this chi-gathering pill, even if they had the life to get it, they wouldn't be able to sell it. Hidden houses and sects weren't something these grave robbers could deal with. These people didn't even bat an eyelid. They were even crueler than grave robbers. Who would dare to do business with them? So they could only think about it. If they really held in their hands, they'd be in trouble. If they were practitioners or from a noble house, of course they'd trade fairly with them. But if they weren't, then sorry, they'd have to kill them and take the pill. On the other side, Xiaoke, Lingshan, and Yu Tian were all in disbelief. There was such a powerful medicine in this world. It could help an Earth-class late-phase peak break through their bottleneck. Oh, Lin Yi nodded disapprovingly and said, what if there are two? Would you only take one? Elder Yu's face changed, feeling a little annoyed. What was wrong with this kid? Did he not know any better? He said he'd only take one thing, but if there were two pills, naturally he'd take them as well. One thing was just a reference. It didn't mean that he'd only take one. Bullshit, of course I'd take it as well. This counts as one thing, Elder Yuhumpht. Is that so? Then other than this, you don't want anything else? Lin, he said coldly. You've already gone back on your words, and I don't trust your trustworthiness. You have no trustworthiness at all. What can I do if you go back on your word? Why ask if you know there's no other way? Elder was pissed. Was there something wrong with this kid? Why ask this bullshit if he knew there was no other way? So, you admit that you're interested in something else other than this. Lin, he smiled coldly. If I'm not mistaken, you have something more important you want, and this pill is just a pretense. You're not an idiot. Aren't you afraid of us coveting it? You're telling us what it's for, aren't you? There's only one reason you're doing this, and that's to divert our attention away from something more important. Am I right? Elder Yu's face was a little ugly. He didn't think that Lin Yi's analysis would be so thorough. He'd said everything in his heart, and Lin Yi was right. This time, House Yu's plan wasn't as simple as the chi-gathering pill. There were other things. But this other thing could be replicated, and so Elder Yu didn't want to say it already. If everyone asked to make a copy, then he'd be in a difficult position. If they could get out of the tomb smoothly after entering, then Elder Yu wouldn't care. What he was afraid of was that it wouldn't be easy to get out after entering, and he couldn't afford to offend these tomb robbers anymore. Otherwise, no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't know all these traps. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.